Good morning, everyone. We're going to delay the start for a few minutes to make sure that we have a quorum. Thank you for your patience. Can we begin housekeeping comments, please?
Thank you for participating in today's meeting. If attending in person, please do not connect to Zoom or teleconference while in the room, and please silence all devices. If translation is provided, click on the globe at the bottom of your screen to select either English or Spanish. Public comment will be taken after each item. If you're in the auditorium and wish to comment, please use the iPads located in the lobby or complete a blue speaker card as available. If you need assistance, please find a South Coast AQMD employee. Speakers may be limited to a total of 3 minutes or less for all agenda items. Times may be shortened to ensure all speakers can be heard. A countdown timer will be displayed on the screen for each public comment. More time will be allotted for Spanish translation that is not simultaneous. For questions or issues on making a public comment, please call the public advisor at 909-396-2432. That's 909-396-2432. Please adhere to the speaker time limit and treat others with courtesy, civility, and respect. Failure to do so can result in your mic being muted or you being removed from the meeting. Be aware that this meeting is being recorded. By participating, you authorize recording of audio and visual content presented during the live event and consent to subsequent use of the recording in the public domain by South Coast AQMD.
Gracias por participar en la reunión de hoy. Si asiste en persona, favor de no conectarse a la conferencia telefónica o Zoom mientras esté en el auditorio y silencie sus dispositivos. Si traducción es disponible, haga clic en el icono de globo en la parte inferior de su pantalla para seleccionar inglés o español. Se tomarán comentarios del público después de cada punto. Si se encuentra en el auditorio y desea dar comentario, utilice los iPads ubicados en el vestíbulo o complete una tarjeta azul según esté disponible. Si necesita ayuda, localice a un empleado de South Coast AQMD. Los comentarios pueden ser limitados a un total de 3 minutos o menos para todos los puntos de la agenda. El tiempo límite puede ser reducido para que todos los comentarios puedan ser escuchados. Se mostrará un temporizador de cuenta regresiva en la pantalla para cada comentario público. Se asignará más tiempo para traducción al español si no es simultáneo. Si tiene preguntas o problemas sobre cómo hacer un comentario público, llame al asesor público al 909-396-2432. 909-396-2432. Respete el tiempo límite y favor de tratar a los demás con cortesía, civilidad y respeto. De lo contrario, es posible que se silencie el micrófono o que sea retirado de la reunión. Tenga en cuenta que esta reunión está siendo grabada. Al participar, usted autoriza la grabación de audio y contenido visual presentado durante el evento en vivo y da su consentimiento para el uso de la grabación en el dominio público por parte de South Coast AQMD.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the South Coast AQMD Friday, November 7th board meeting. Welcome all of you to our facility. We'll start off with a Pledge of Allegiance led by Board Member Veronica Padilla Campos.
Thank
Board
you.
member?
Let's rise. Put our right hand over our heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member. Roll call, please.
Mayor Locke Dawson is absent. Supervisor Hagman. Mayor Pro Tem McAllen.
Here.
Supervisor Mitchell is absent. Supervisor Nguyen. Vice Mayor Olmos.
Here.
Board Member Padilla Campos.
Here.
Supervisor Perez is absent. Councilmember Rahman is absent. Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez is absent. Vice Chair Cacchiotti.
Here.
Chair Delgado.
And I'm here. Thank you. I know that there are a few members who are coming in, so we'll get started. All right, I do have a few announcements before we get going. I wanted to let everybody know that we would like to do, to honor the passing of Jesse Marquez, an environmental leader, next month, and we'll be in touch with you all about how we intend to do that. And then as of late, there's been a lot of discussion about board committees, advisory groups, their effectiveness, and I wanted the board to know that I've asked staff to take a look at streamlining the committees, see how they can be consolidated and make some more effective. So it's going to go before us in admin committee next month, and then it'll be before you in December. It also includes just kind of how the board members are paid and being on those committees. So I'm hopeful that we can do something positive with that next month. And then if we can pull item number 19 to be presented, I think we were supposed to present that last month, and that would be after item 30, please. All right, other board members? Any comments? All right,
Madam Chair, I have a few pictures.
yeah, please.
So last week was the 50th anniversary of CAPCOA. That's all the air pollution control agencies in the state of California, 35 of them. So flip to Sacramento for a day with staff. And I don't think that's it. There it is. So as I got to the airport in Sacramento, you may remember one of our former executives, Matt Miyasato, was there with Sarah. And we got a quick picture. Matt was leaving Sacramento, coming back to Los Angeles, but all of our former employees are all over the state and the nation. Next. So this was CAPCOA. So you had members from all the districts, from San Diego all the way up north, and just, planning. Wayne's been going to these for years. Everybody knows Wayne there. Next. Some of our staff is there, and you see Wayne and I think Susan over there on the left. Dr. Herb Johnson was on the right. Next. And then I was on a panel later on, and the lady on the left is from the Bay Area, AQMD. It's myself, San Joaquin Valley, AQMD, and the right, San Diego AQMD. So it was a great event, how we can all work together, really improve the air quality in the state. Thank you.
I have a request to speak by the Supervisor Perez and then Vice Mayor Olmos.
I'll be quick, Madam Chair. I happened to notice that there was a photo up there, so I figured I should bring it up. Yesterday, we had, there's a slide I'm thinking that I saw. There you go. In any event, yeah, let me just say thank you to Wayne and staff from AQMD for coming out to the desert. We just had the opening, or the second opening, if you will, of the CB Link, which connects the cities from Palm Springs all the way down to Coachella, about 40-mile stretch. And it's a multimodal link in which one can bike, one can jog, one can use electric little golf cart, if you will, or scooter. And this all came about because of legislation that was passed when actually Kurt and I were in the legislature, and that was AB 1318, which was the CPV Sentinel Power Peaker Plant, and making sure ultimately that it had the credits necessary, but with that, for the emission reduction credits, that is. And with that, $53 million in mitigation fees. And those mitigation fees were separated into thirds. 1/3 would go to the immediate area of Desert Hot Springs, the other third a little bit further out. And then the last third would go out throughout the environmental justice communities in the Coachella Valley. So this is in Indio. The day before that was in Coachella. Today, I believe, is in Cathedral City, as well as in Palm Springs later on. This morning is Cathedral City. Later on today, it's in Palm Springs, and then we're gonna go ahead and have the other cities as well over the course of these next few days. But let me just say as well, thank you to the staff. It was awesome that you guys were there, and we also had our Dust Summit yesterday, and it was a good showing of people. We had about maybe 40 to 50 people there in public, but yet we had another 50 people on the line. And the experts that were there, obviously our staff, and then other experts from outside the area were there to present the statistics, the data regarding dust issues and concerns in that area, as well as mitigation efforts. But I'll tell you, there is quite a bit of frustration back home. People do want to see a change. Not sure if you've ever been down to the valley when, you have a dust storm of sorts. It gets pretty bad where you can't even see 5 feet in front of you as you're driving. You have to pull over. And so we have to somehow figure out ways to mitigate that. And then as well, even within our communities. The fact that when there's construction, for example, and you have disturbed lands, how that impacts individuals' respiratory illnesses, or even the kids, that many times I get phone calls from family and teachers because youth have nosebleeds while in school, or asthma rates are increasing potentially. So at the end of the day, guys, I just want to say once again, muchas gracias for being out there. That was a long trip for you, a long day. And you got to hear a little bit of what I hear. And you even got yelled at a little bit like I do. So it all worked out nicely.
Sounds like what may happen later today. Vice Mayor Olmos.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was at the League of California Cities Conference, it was about 2 weeks ago, and it was really nice to see that the AQMD had a booth there. I'm not sure if that was the first year. Maybe you guys can educate me on that, but I think it was so neat. No, they've been there multiple times. But I think it was just so good. There was over 500 elected officials there. I think the booth was very busy. They were just providing a lot of the programs that the AQMD offers. So again, just thank you guys for being out there. It was the first time that I had noticed, but thanks again for being there.
Great. Wayne, any opening comments?
Unfortunately, I have a few. So the first item, I'd just like to note a correction to the agenda for the November agenda. There's a footnote for two of the rules that are being set for the December board meeting. The footnote references the date of the board meeting as of December 4th, but the correct date is December 5th. So just wanted to note that correction. Also just wanted to reinforce what Supervisor Perez said about the CV Link project. The South Coast AQMD was a proud participant of that project, and it really, I think, symbolized partnership, innovation, and perseverance. And I think that was the final leg that was constructed, so it connects the entire Coachella Valley, right?
Yes, however, we're working on Desert Hot Springs now, and then as well going into the South Sea.
Well, it was a great event, and we thank you for all your participation, support, and perseverance on that as well. Also, just wanted to note that I believe about 2 weeks ago in October, we had an all-community steering committee event. In that event, Dr. Heard Johnson and her team hosted the second annual AB 617 All-Community Steering Committee event. So this is communities from across the state, includes the state as well. And here's a picture of some of the attendees. As you can see, it was very well attended. And it also included a community panel that provided insights on warehousing. And we actually had a speaker, Sophia Figueroa, and her film, which was titled The Warehouse Empire. So it was a very successful event. Just wanted to acknowledge and lift that. Also wanted to provide you with the status update on the Go Zero program. I know there have been a lot of questions by many of you with regards to how is that going? How are we getting signups for the incentives? So we continue to implement the program. There's 3 categories for the Go Zero funding. The multifamily homes pot is already fully subscribed, so that's great news. The single family homes, more than 80% of the funding is still available. That's roughly $7.5 million. So we're going to redouble our efforts to get word out to single family homeowners and that demographic group. And then on the small business side, we actually haven't had any applications received. And we do think that perhaps the conditions, the definition of a small business is perhaps too stringent. So we're going to be changing the definition, and we're going to be going up to 100 employees or $5 million in annual gross revenue. And we hope that'll increase the number of participants from the small business side. Previously, the criteria was 10 employees and 500,000 in annual gross revenue. So I think that was a little too stringent, and hopefully this will spur some additional investment. We continue to work with our consultants, and we'll continue our outreach efforts to let small business know about this change. And that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to get started with the agenda. We have 75 speakers who would like to speak today. So we make sure everybody's voice is heard. I am going to reduce the time allotment for speaking to 60 seconds, a minute. If you need more time, just please ask me and then we'll consider those on a case-by-case basis. But we're going to start with general public comment. This is a minute. Can I also limit general public comment?
Yes.
Okay. For items that are not on the agenda, and we are going to start with Angel Teo.
What do you call it then?
Harvey Etter is next. And then El Sattler. If any of these folks could come up.
As we're waiting for people to come up, there's people online ready to testify. I've got a couple hands raised. Once we finish with Mr. Harvey Etter, we're going to close the public comment queue online. So if you're online watching, this is general public comment. Get ready to raise your hand right away because once Angel and Harvey testify, the queue will be closed online public comment. Thank you.
I think I see El coming up. Good morning.
Oh, you want my turn?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay. Hi. So I want to say good morning to the board and thank you. Thank you very much to the board and staff of the South Coast Air Quality Management District. Thank you for all the time and thoughtfulness you put into, thinking and protecting the public health of all of us. And you were especially protecting the health of people around the ports and along freeways from diesel particulates. And you're protecting people in the San Gabriel Valley and Riverside and San Bernardino counties from photochemical smog, which is formed, of course, from NOx or VOCs. And it takes a while to get out there to react. So, and of course, that is the photochemical smog that was the initial big source of smog for LA. So again, thank you all very, very much.
Thank you for your comments. I like starting that way. Harvey Etter, it is good to see you in person.
Wow.
I think this is the first time I've seen you in person since COVID, so.
Okay, thank you. I'd sure like to get more than a minute.
You get a minute and a half because it's you,
All right,
Harvey.
okay. First of all, I want to incorporate by reference, there's a UN conference in Brazil, mayors, and it's from yesterday to the 21st. I want to find out who from this entity has been there. It's very important. Also, we're litigating giving 60-day notice against you all. The 16 plan, the Solar New Deal, was not evaluated by the district, CARB, or EPA. And also we filed in 92 and cited RICO as a captured agency and whatnot, following through on all these different things and some other things. And we got in the record $3,700 bill for the last 5 years. They said there's a limit on that. We wanted to go for FOIA and COIA and find the exception case law appellate to get the whole record and incorporating it in here by reference as well. So there's several other things. Oh, I think we got 45 seconds. Okay. In the 16 plan, we had the Sunshot program was based after the moonshot. That's how we got to the moon under Kennedy. Musk wouldn't be if it wasn't for that. So it was from 10 to 20. It made solar cost effective. It's taken over the market in the world. Okay, the district in California says only 7,000 deaths in the state a year. 2/3 of those down south, from $10 to $12 million a death. And that Lancet magazine from 10 years ago, Dr. Pedro Piqueras gave us that there's 1 to 1.5 million deaths in the country. We are based on 10 million, 20% of the world's deaths. And that this is equal back to our gross national product, incorporating by reference our what?
Thank you, Harvey. I've got you on 4 other times, so maybe we'll see you in a bit. Angel Teo, last call for Angel Teo, and then we're going to go to online. Okay, we'll go to online.
Thank you,
Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As we announced earlier, the
Can
online
you say something?
hands raised are closed now. The queue is closed. We've got one speaker, and that is James Finney Conlon. James, go ahead, please. You've got 1 minute.
Morning, my name is James Finney Conlon, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce, the largest business organization in the Los Angeles region. The Chamber commends all the collaborative work that has been done to reach the current framework for this cooperative agreement.
James, hold on 1 second. That's an item on the agenda. You can wait a few minutes and testify on that. So this is for general public comment items not on our agenda. That concludes public comment.
Okay, let's move on to the consent and board calendar, items 1 through 28. Board members, anything to report? Mayor Pro Tem McCallum.
Thank you very much. For agenda item number 12, I do not have a financial interest, but I am required to identify for the record that I am a member of the Board of Directors for the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority and Mayor Pro Tem for the City of Highland, an alternate board member for Omnitrans, and a member of the Board of Directors for the Southern California Regional Rail Authority, which are involved in this item.
I'm tired already, Mayor. It's a lot, but thank you for that. Supervisor Nguyen?
Thank you. I have three items. One, item 4, I just want to say a few words. And then item 5, I'm recusing myself from agenda item 5 because of financial interest in Kinder Morgan Inc., which is materially affected by this item. And then on number 12, for agenda item number 12, I do not have a financial interest, but I am required to identify for the record that I am a board member for the Orange County Transportation Authority and as a county supervisor for the County of Orange, which are involved in this item. Do you want me to give my comments for number 14, Madam Chair?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to start by expressing my support for item 4 and just to thank staff and their work on awarding these grants to assist and support school districts, particularly in Orange County. We 10 of our school districts will be receiving the awards, and 3 of them are in my district. And so we appreciate what you're doing and the assistance in working with the school districts.
Thank you. Supervisor Hagman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For agenda item 12, I do not have a financial interest, but I'm identifying for the record I'm a member of the Board of Directors for San Bernardino County Transportation Authority, a supervisor for the County of San Bernardino, and a board member for Army Trans, which is involved in this item.
Okay, Supervisor Perez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For agenda item number 12 as well, I don't have a financial interest, but I'm identifying for the record that I'm a commissioner, Riverside County Transportation Commission, and a supervisor for the County of Riverside, which are involved in this item as well.
Okay, and then I've moved item 19 to presentation after item 30. We do have somebody who's requested to speak, but before that, I wanted to check if anybody has a motion or something.
So move
I'll
on
move
the
consent minus item 19.
Hagman seconds.
All right. So with that, I'll take the testimony. Harvey Etter, you have item number 4 and 16. 19 has been moved, so we'll hear that one later. Say anything about online?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, good morning again. My name's Harvey Etter. I'm speaking for myself and for the Public Solar Power Coalition, like-minded entities and folk. There's $78 million for buses. I'm not certain the details of them, but they should be solar, electric, and renewable, and they should be co-ops and whatnot, and leveraged to use tax credits through 617 groups and neighborhood co-ops, through neighborhoods and whatnot, and to maximize public power should be utilized for this. And it's 20% less expensive than investor-owned. Cost effectiveness is extremely important. Now, also, this is covered by CEQA under not an economic, socioeconomic. It's part of CEQA, and it should not go on until this has been evaluated. So this is extremely important. It relates to a lot of stuff that's going on now. Thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
talk later. Bye.
Okay, there's online.
I see no online hand raised, so we're going to close public comment for online testimony at this point.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second. Can we do a roll call vote or a vote, please? All right, that moves forward. And now we're on item 30, which is our public hearing. Is there any, do you want to, okay. Staff will start us.
I'll kick us off. Good morning, Chair Delgado, members of the board. My name is Sarah Reese. I'm the Deputy Executive Officer for Planning, Rule Development, and Implementation here at the district. And this morning, I'm bringing to you for your consideration a proposed cooperative agreement with the ports of Long Beach and LA. Next slide, please. So just by way of background, a lot of this is well-worn territory for all of you, but I'll just cover the highlights. We've been working on a measure to reduce emissions from the ports for a bunch of years at this point. Back in 2017, in the wake of the 2016 Air Quality Management Plan, at that time, the board directed us to pursue memorandum of understanding with the ports. We had 2 attempts at that, and for various reasons, those didn't go very well. So back in 2022, this board directed us to pursue rulemaking, and that's when we kicked off our efforts on proposed Rule 2304. That was a rule that would have used indirect source authority to regulate the ports. And that rule evolved over time as well. We listened a lot to our stakeholders through the rule development process, many, many meetings. And one thing became very clear, that in order to facilitate the needed transition to zero emission and cleaner technology, we first had to have comprehensive infrastructure planning. If you don't have that infrastructure planning in place, buying all the zero emission equipment in the world isn't going to make a difference, because you can't plug it in, you can't fuel it, you can't get it to work. And so that was really the focus of our Rule 2304. It was an infrastructure plan rule requiring comprehensive infrastructure planning at the ports. We were going to bring that rule to the board for consideration this fall, but over the summer, the ports proposed a cooperative agreement with us in lieu of that rule. And we've always been clear that a cooperative agreement we're not necessarily interested in the instrument that's used, we're interested in results. And if you can get to the same result through an agreement, we've always been open to discussing that. And so that's where we were with that. Next slide, please. So the cooperative agreement that the ports submitted over the summer break down what it contained, kind of 3 major buckets of things here. First, the recitals. It's basically background or indications of intent by the different parties. Also then kind of the core of what the agreement is. So this had a couple of elements in it. One was on rulemaking authority. It had us basically giving up our rulemaking authority for a period of time. There was a provision on enforcement that was left blank at the time for future discussion. We were discussing what our role would be in that agreement, as well as the duration of the contract. And the original duration proposed was 10 years. And then after that, there were these cap plus measures, one of which was looking at zero emission infrastructure. And then there were a bunch of other measures there as well for ocean going vessels, on cargo handling equipment, on trucks, et cetera. And if we can, during the negotiation, we focused on all of these, but the real key area of focus was on this zero emission infrastructure planning, because that was the focus of the Rule 2304. And again, we figured if we could get to that result through an agreement and it gets us to the same place, maybe there's something here. So that's what we really focused on during our negotiations with the ports. Next slide, please. Okay, when we're talking about zero emission infrastructure planning, we really are talking about covering all of these major sources at the ports. It really looking at covering what's needed on ocean going vessels, the trucks, the locomotive switchers, cargo handling equipment, as well as on harbor craft. And this isn't just electricity, right? This is looking at all of the fuels that are needed, because some of these applications, electricity isn't going to cut it. We're not going to see a fully electric ocean-going vessel. There's going to be other fuels involved. And so that recognizes that there's some complexity to some of these plans as well, and it's going to take some time to develop some of these plans. Next slide, please. Okay, we'll take a deeper dive into what do these zero emission infrastructures look like. In the agreement that we've negotiated so far, the ports need to complete these zero emission infrastructure plans in 3 distinct phases, ranging from 2027 to 2029. And this depends on the sector involved. So an infrastructure plan for the trucks, that's going to be due in 2027. That's going to be easier for the ports to do than for ocean-going vessels, for example, that's due later at 2029, because there's a lot more complexity of the fuels that are required for those vessels. The plans are going to include planning targets. Those are set by the ports. So the ports will tell us how much they're going to be able to do in that, as well as key milestones that the ports are going to meet. And those milestones are based on things that are within the port's control. We know there's a lot of uncertainty with these plans. It was really important that this agreement, recognize that there's uncertainty, but also recognize that there are things within the port's control that they can do. And then critically, this agreement includes public review and comment that's expressly built in. We've received a lot of concerns in the past that there hasn't been a great way for the community to comment on port plans. And so we wanted to build this process in so that every step of the zero emission plan development, if there's modifications, approval by the harbor commissioners, that there's opportunity for the public to comment and that the ports would then respond to that comment. Next slide, please. Okay, the agreement also has a limited term as well as exit clause. And so the original agreement that the port sent to us had a 10-year term. We felt that was too long, but we also felt it was important to have several years for this to have a term, because it's going to take a while for these infrastructure plans to be developed and to be implemented. And so the current agreement has a 5-year term, allows for the time for those plans to be developed. And then we have a 45-day exit clause. That means that with a 45-day notice, any party can exit this agreement at any time. This was originally 90 days in the agreement that the port sent over the summer. We did negotiate that down to 45 days, largely in response to some comments that we received. Next slide, please. We also have a component of resolution language here for the board resolution, where the board directs staff to take certain actions. And here, the board would be directing us to pause the rulemaking or terminate unless the agreement terminates earlier. So we would pause for a 5-year period. Again, the reason for that is we want time for the infrastructure planning to take place to see how this goes. The board would be directing staff to report back to the board on the progress of this infrastructure planning, as well as when we get to the end of it, if there's a recommendation from staff to extend, amend, or create a new agreement. Next slide, please. There are enforceable provisions in this agreement. That was the original one that came over to us in the summer. Those enforcement provisions were blank. It was subject for future negotiation, and we did negotiate that with the ports. And so now there are very discrete financial consequences as a result of things that the ports are if they don't do the things that they're supposed to do in the agreement. So, for example, if they don't submit the plan by the time they're supposed to submit it, there's a consequence for that. Similarly, with the modification of the plans, if they don't complete the public process that's involved, if they don't hit the milestones that are within their control. Those monetary payments, as a result of those defaults, they would go to the South Coast AQMD, and there would be a clean air mitigation fund that we would then manage and be spent by direction of the board. There would be a public process before funds would be spent from that fund, and that it would be for to benefit the near port community. Next slide, please. And the penalty structure that we have here is, I think fairly stiff. So it's a escalating penalty structure, depending on the severity of the default, ranging from $50,000 per default to $200,000 per default. There is also a dispute resolution procedure including in the agreement as well. So we have multiple avenues for being able to address issues as they come up. Next slide, please. We have had extensive public process. When we were going through the rule development process for 2304, which is largely the substance of what this cooperative agreement is, we've had over 30 public meetings since that rulemaking kicked off. So there has been a lot of interaction specifically on this issue of port infrastructure planning and what would be required there. Next slide, please. And we have, community concerns have shaped what we have in our cooperative agreements. We have added additional enforcement triggers and doubled our penalties. So the penalty structure that I told you, that has doubled since the original one that the port sent to us, or since we negotiated. We have included specific roles for verification of plans. We are going to quantify emission reductions associated with the plans that the ports submit to us. This cooperative agreement also does not contract away the board's rulemaking authority, which is very important. The original agreement that the port sent to us had that in there. Here it's a board resolution, so the board always retains the authority to direct staff on rulemaking. The agreement does include very specific public process requirements. And then also the ports are now required to describe how old equipment is going to be decommissioned when they go through these infrastructure plans. Next slide, please. Okay, we have a couple of key issues that I want to touch on. One, we still hear a lot of concern about the 5-year pause in rulemaking. Again, because this is in resolution language, this is still authority that is retained with the ports. We're not contracting that away. The board can always direct staff's working priorities. We think the pause is important to allow time for the infrastructure planning to take place and be developed. And then we will be making regular updates back to the board and to the public, and the board can always pivot if they don't find that very satisfactory. We are hearing a lot of concerns about the lack of infrastructure reduction or a lack of emission reductions. As we said, infrastructure planning is the key to facilitating getting to those emission reductions. We need to have that piece in place first. And then we need more time to talk with the ports on those additional cap plus measures that can have some additional emission reductions. And we want that time both for public input as well as for negotiation with the ports. Next slide, please. Okay, we did hear some concerns about using public funding for automation. And from South Coast AQMD's perspective, our primary focus is on those zero emission technologies and facilitating that towards getting to emission reductions. And so we have deferred to the ports on that issue regarding automation. And the ports here have talked about that there's already restrictions on existing federal and state laws using programs for human operated equipment only. So that's already some structures in place for that. And then finally, we have had a lot of comment on public process, that it was abbreviated, that we didn't have meaningful public engagement. Again, we are talking largely about infrastructure planning here that had been the subject of our prior rulemaking. There had been extensive public process associated with that. We have conducted a lot of very specific stakeholder engagements over the last 3 months, including, going to our board twice, going to committee twice. We've had 2 community meetings. We've had multiple office hours. So we have, and we have incorporated a lot of the concerns and comments that we heard in that interaction into the cooperative agreements. Next slide, please. Okay, so with all of that, why would we proceed with a cooperative agreement? Again, we have been working on this on the ports for years, frankly. We're at a place right now where we have agreement that largely covers the scope of what we would have achieved in the rulemaking. We believe this agreement can foster some faster outcomes when you have a collaborative approach. And we've heard this from the ports that it's important, as they have to work with their tenant operators and other folks in industry, that this is really helpful to be able to facilitate all of that. And then at the end of the day, we do have the ability to exit this agreement quickly if it's not satisfactory, if we see that it's not really giving us the results that we want. Next slide, please. So next steps for additional measures, we will continue to negotiate with the ports, and we are going to be looking at those additional cap plus measures that the ports provided over the summer and see if there's additional pieces that we can bring to the board. Our goal is to return to the board in spring of 2026. We'll say this probably later in spring rather than earlier, and for a number of reasons. We want the time to be able to negotiate with folks and actually get some good stuff. We also want to have the public process. We're now going to be talking about things that maybe hadn't been covered in the rulemaking process before. There may be some newer topics, and we want to make sure we have the time to be able to work that and get feedback from the public as we move forward. So we will be looking at additional public process, including working group meetings, community meetings. We hope to continue those office hours that we established, working with the 617 communities, and then multiple releases of draft documents, as well as report back to Mobile Source Committee. Next slide, please. So finally, our staff recommendation is to adopt the resolution authorizing our executive officer to sign and execute the cooperative agreement. I do want to touch on CEQA here for a minute. We have heard some comments that the CEQA we have associated with this is not sufficient. We are relying on the CEQA that was covered for our 2016 and 2022 air quality management plans. And it will say that infrastructure planning was a piece of that control measure that was contemplated in both of those plans. And so the CEQA we rely on there, we believe is sufficient. But if there's questions on that, I'm certainly happy to defer to council. The other action is to establish the budget actions to establish the Port Clean Air Mitigation Fund, as well as authorizing our executive officer to receive those funds and to cover necessary administrative costs. With that, I'll conclude my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, just questions for staff at this point? Supervisor?
Thank you. Great report. The one thing I was looking for, maybe, and you can respond to this, is I know there's benchmarks and goals that the cooperative agreement sticks out. Can we have a structure for bringing those updates both to the board and the public? Like it's a once a quarter, once every 6 months, some kind of outline so we can show that there's progress going throughout this process.
Certainly we're amenable to doing that. There are annual reports already built into the cooperative agreement, but we're certainly happy to report back on a more frequent basis.
I would at least a couple times a year to the committee. And that way we could just show there's progress. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Olmos?
Quick questions. Can you just confirm the duration of the cooperative agreement? So when it starts and ends, I guess, is it January 2026 and go through 2030, or is it 5 years from today?
So it would be when all the parties sign. So right now, if the board authorizes our executive officer to enter into that, that's one piece. The ports then have to also authorize their executive officers to enter into this too.
that
And
makes
so
sense.
that would go in before Long Beach. I believe they're taking it to their harbor commissioners on Monday. Port of LA is bringing it to their harbor commissioners later this month. And then when all of those pieces are in place, then there would be a signing, and it would be 5 years from the date of that signature.
Okay. And when it comes to the reporting deadline, is it going to be April 2028 versus 2029? So when would the first actual deadline reporting happen?
I believe the first report is going to be April 2028. What was that? Oh, yeah, on or before April 2028. That's correct.
2028,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, that's it.
Board Member Padilla Campos?
Thank you. Thank you for the report. I want to kind of piggyback on what we just heard from Mr. Hagman about establishing some sort of committee that can maybe be made up of labor and community members as well, just to be able to provide some updates to us or to somebody for us. And then my other question is, what are the metrics that the department's going to be looking for in these annual reports?
Maybe I can speak to the committee. This issue is brought before the Mobile Source Committee. And we would ask people to participate in the Mobile Source Committee and to provide information. As far as forming a separate committee, that's actually sort of one of the issues that the chair has asked us to look at. And we're trying to be effective, but we also don't want to stretch staff so thin that we're not able to do all the things that are necessary. So let us consider how we might be able to perhaps increase participation at the Mobile Source Committee within the various groups that have such an interest in this project. And then we'll report back.
Appreciate the consideration.
And then regarding the metrics on the annual reports, I think we're going to be looking at, what the ports have committed to in the cooperative agreement. If there's the specific milestones that they're supposed to meet, have they met those? Basically looking at those reports to see, are they on track to do what they said they're going to do?
I just wanted to support the concept of maybe like an informal committee or an interest list of people who are willing to dedicate time to it that would be invited to Mobile Source. I think that's a good idea because we've been trying, as you know, Board Member Padilla Campos, to keep the topics in one committee, and it's tough because the other ones might not be as aware. So, I definitely want to support that effort. Mayor Pro Tem McKellen.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just wanted to congratulate the ports and our staff on a very short time. We gave them 45 days to come up with an agreement from the beginning, and they did yeoman's work, our staff and the ports, in putting this agreement together. And I just wanted to recognize that work and thank you very much. I know I pushed very hard to make sure that we could get an agreement in time, and they did a fantastic job in 45 days. And I just want to encourage you to continue that effort as we go forward for the other CAP Plus measures and get those into the agreement, that we continue that cooperation and the urgency, if you will, of getting it done. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff before we open up the public comment period?
Yes.
Supervisor Perez?
Just very quickly, Madam Chair, once again, thank you, staff, obviously, the ports and the advocates that that supported this concept, although I know that there are many advocates that have not. But I do want to state that it's important that we recognize that at different levels of government, this cooperative agreement has been supported, whether that be the governor or whether that be the mayors of Long Beach, as well as the mayor of LA, as well as obviously industry. And there are laborers involved as well, very supportive. And there are some folks on the ground in our communities that are supportive. I had heard, though, that some of the advocates were concerned that we are giving away as AQMD our rulemaking power. And let me just state out loud that that is not the case here. This is a cooperative agreement. There are timelines. There are obviously penalties. You're hearing from members up here that are stating that it's important that we bring this back every so often to hear what's the status, how things are going. And I think that overall, at the end of the day, if we so choose as AQMD to bring this effort back to the table, I think we can. By no means, in my opinion, are we letting our rulemaking process or power to diminish, if you will. If we so choose to bring this to a rule, we will. But at this point right now, I am prepared to support this cooperative agreement, and especially knowing that there have been a couple of extra areas that have been implemented that I also know that advocates were hoping to have, in which industry has agreed to. So thank you very much for the hard work everyone's put together behind this idea, this cooperative agreement.
Okay, thank you. We have 78 people who have signed up to speak live. So I'm going to go ahead and get that started by opening up the public hearing. You do not need to sign up for this public hearing. You can come up once all the people who have already signed up speak, and we will take online testimony. The vice chair will update us as to when that will be closed. So the list of speakers will be posted, but we're going to start with Robert Loya. And if you could sign up once you see your name there. Robert's going to kick us off. We get 1 minute for everybody, please. If there are compelling reasons why you need more time, please let us know. And we'll consider that on a case-by-case basis. Robert, kick us off.
Sorry, excuse me, trying to get my words. Okay. Good morning, Chair, Delgado, and board members. My name is Robert Loya with the Harbor Trucking Association. I represent over 400 trucking companies in this LA Long Beach area. We express our sincere appreciation for the collaborative efforts between CARB staff and the ports of LA and Long Beach in reaching this milestone agreement. We fully support the proposed cooperative agreement as a vital step towards zero emissions future. We are particularly encouraged by the flexibility the agreement provides to manage the rigorous timelines. We recognize the financial, continued technology advancement, and infrastructure will be critical to addressing the significant operational challenges to this transition. The Harbor Trucking Association is committed to working collaboratively with the stakeholders on the CAP Plus measures to develop effective, feasible, and fair measures. We are grateful for the opportunity to participate in this process and value the continued partnership and collaboration amongst all stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you. Halfdan Ross, followed by Luke Morales and Lawrence Meleo. If you could please come up.
Good morning. On behalf of ITS, which is a marine container terminal, my name is Halfdan Ross. I sincerely thank the governing board for having instructed the staff to work together with the port on this cooperative agreement. It is a great progress, and the ports have showed a lot of progress in reducing pollution in the past, and I know with this corporate agreement we can continue. So we support that, and I want to keep this very brief. Just thank everybody for letting this happen. Please support the agreement. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Luke Morales, followed by Lawrence Maleo and Lee. I'm sorry, Lee, I'm not going to do your last name justice. And then Heather Tomley will be next.
Madam Chair, for people online, raise your hand if you want to testify in this item. Once Lawrence Malejo completes his testimony, we're closing the public comment portion online. So raise your hands now if you want to.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Last call for Luke, Lawrence Maleo, and Lee from Metro Ports. Heather Tomley will be next.
My name is Lee Sweet-Lakowski. I'm the president of Metro Ports, a 102-year-old family-owned American stevedoring company. We've been in the Port of Long Beach since 1962 and operating on the U.S. West Coast since 1923. This agreement preserves South Coast AQMD's leadership in air quality while acknowledging the realities we face daily, which is complex supply chains, long infrastructure lead times, and evolving global technology standards. As terminal operators, we see firsthand how zero emissions transitions actually happen. They're ambitious, complicated, and rarely linear. A cooperative agreement lets us adapt when technologies underperform, accelerate when breakthroughs happen, and course correct without derailing momentum. Rigid mandates risk stalling progress and driving investment to other areas. Neither outcome serves our shared air quality goals. We respectfully urge your support.
Thank you. Following Heather will be Eleanor Torres and then Kurt Schroeder.
So after Heather Tomley, since the other person didn't show up, we're going to cut off public comment online. So if you want to testify online, this is your last chance. Raise your hand. Once Heather finishes, we're cutting off public comment online.
Good morning, Chair Delgado, members of the Governing Board. I'm Heather Tomley with Port of Long Beach. I want to thank this board for suspending rulemaking in August and supporting the negotiations, and your staff for their collaboration and tireless work with the ports that's allowed us to be able to present this cooperative agreement to you today. This agreement sets the path forward for zero-emission infrastructure and planning and implementation at the ports. The final agreement before you ensures progress will be made with a commitment to public participation, and if we don't deliver, there will be consequences. Your direction to staff to implement the agreement and pause rulemaking allows us to focus on implementation and ensures buy-in and support from our industry partners that will be critical for our success. Following the action today, we'll continue to work with your staff and other stakeholders on the CAP Plus measures that will provide emission reductions and additional benefits that can layer on top of this agreement. We respectfully urge you to approve the cooperative agreement and the resolution as presented to you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Artie Mendel, if you could come up, and then just Dave. Dave goes by one name only, YTI.
Good morning, Chair Delgado and members of the board. My name is Eleanor Torres, and I'm with the Port of Long Beach. I'd like to add that this cooperative agreement builds on more than 2 decades of partnership and progress toward cleaning our air and greening port operations. We know our success depends on trust and collaboration. We remain committed to working hand in hand with our residents, local leaders, labor, industry, and environmental partners to deliver meaningful, lasting improvements in air quality and quality of life. The Port of Long Beach is proud to be a partner in this effort, and we're fully committed to delivering the zero-emission future this region deserves. Thank you again for your leadership and your partnership. It's been a pleasure to work with the staff. 45 days, it was quite a whirlwind, but we're committed to continue at a fast pace, and we're going to bring all of our staff and resources to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Kurt Schroeder. I'm the Sustainability Manager for Everport Terminal Services in the Port of Los Angeles, and we fully support the cooperative agreement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Artie Mandel. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for the Port of Los Angeles and the City of Los Angeles Harbor Department. I want to thank the board and AQMD staff for their hard work and partnership that resulted in this cooperative agreement, and we urge the board to approve it today. The agreement establishes a foundational forward-looking partnership that will accelerate the development of the zero emissions infrastructure necessary for the transition at our ports. This cooperative agreement gives us and our partners the flexibility to overcome the complex challenges inherent in this massive transition while ensuring accountability, enforceability, transparency, and a robust community engagement process. If this agreement is approved, we will be bringing it to our Board of Harbor Commissioners on November 20th and then beginning the hard work of implementation. We're also committed to delivering to this board next spring the amended agreement with finalized CAP Plus measures that will deliver near-term emission reductions. So I want to thank all of you, and I want to thank the community members who are here today and who have engaged in this process and will continue to engage in this process with us going forward.
Thank you, Artie. And now here's the one known as Dave.
I guess I forgot something.
I'm just teasing. I have to
No worries.
get entertained by
My name is Dave Turner, and I help the sustainability efforts at Houston Terminals, one of the marine terminal operators in the Port of Los Angeles. I just want to thank the board for the opportunity to speak, and I want to thank the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach and the board for their efforts in developing the cooperative agreement, and I fully support it, and I hope the board votes that way. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Matt Klink?
Good morning, Chair Delgado, members of the board. My name is Matt Klink. I'm here today representing the Los Angeles County Business Federation. BizFed's a massive grassroots alliance that unites chambers of commerce, trade associations, minority business groups, economic development organizations, business improvement districts, and other business groups to advocate for policies and projects that strengthen the regional economy. We represent 240 plus organizations and 420,000 employees with more than 5 million, or employers with more than 5 million employees. I urge the governing board to support Agenda Item 30, the negotiated cooperative agreement. The agreement represents a balanced approach toward improving air quality at the San Pedro ports. The progress achieved during the past year shows what can be accomplished when regulatory agencies, both ports and the regulated community, collaborate toward common goals. Thanks to the AQMD's leadership and the staff for the progress made in the cooperative.
Thank you, Matt. Germán Soria, followed by Jorge Quintero and Pedro Huerta, if you could.
Good morning, board and staff. Thank you guys for working with the community, with the ports. My name's Germán Soria. I'm a member of the Western State Carpenters. We're over 90,000 strong. In the South Bay alone, there's 3,000 of us. And we just want to thank you guys for working so quickly in these 45 days and coming up with an agreement. We support it because if you look around, the community is here. We live there, we work there, and we're thankful that you guys are trying to make the environment better for us and safer conditions. We're thankful for the ports for creating these opportunities. San Pedro, the Bay, the ports, it's an economic powerhouse right there. And California is the best state in the country, and the ports are the best in the world. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you, Germán.
Good morning, chairs and members of the board. My name is Pedro Huerta with the Western States Regional Council of Carpenters, otherwise known as Pedro from San Pedro. I was born and raised in San Pedro, so I know how the ports and all that air quality is life. So I know the ports have been improving a lot, and they will continue to improve on these efforts. And as well as our members, we all live in these communities that surround the ports, like San Pedro, Wilmington, Long Beach. So we're not just builders, we're the neighbors who breathe the same air and care deeply about the clean air and healthy communities. This cooperative agreement strikes the right balance between the environmental progress and the economic opportunity and gives real plan to reduce emissions while keeping good paying local construction jobs right here in the Southern California area. So on behalf of our members and our families, we respectfully ask the board to support the cooperative agreement. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time to come today. Matthew Dickinson, followed by Ernesto Medrano.
Hello, my name is Matt Dickinson. I represent Phoenix Marine Services, a container terminal in the Port of Los Angeles at Pier 300. And I'm here to request that you continue to support and approve the cooperative agreement. We love the draft language. We are happy to see something like this come to fruition. and we look forward to executing upon it. We have a robust zero emissions plan, and we are excited to execute that upon the release and agreement of this language.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Welcome, Ernesto.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Ernesto Medrano. I'm the Executive Secretary for the Los Angeles and Orange Counties Building and Construction Trades Council, representing 160,000 hardworking men and women in the construction sector with 48 affiliates. And we continue to believe the cooperative agreement is the appropriate alternative to the previously proposed rule. We urge adoption of the cooperative agreement as negotiated by the South Coast AQMD and the cities and ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles. The San Pedro Bay ports are the heartbeat of California and the nation's economy, supporting millions of good-paying careers and good jobs, and they must remain globally competitive. It is very clear that the work that is performed there provides a pathway to the middle class for young men and women through our joint labor management apprenticeship programs on the construction side. Some important elements of the agreement include accountability, enforcement, as well as transparency and public participation and reduced air emissions. We also will.
Well, go ahead, finish your thoughts.
Thank you. We'll also foment cooperation with the parties to collectively address planning for zero emissions to occur. We urge adoption of the cooperative agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Valerie Do Carmo, followed by Paul Granillo and Al Sattler.
Good morning. My name is Valerie DeCarmo. I'm the Health, Safety, Security, and Environmental Manager for Trade Pack Container Terminal located at the Port of Los Angeles. Thank you to the Governing Board and South Coast Air Quality Management District for your efforts in promoting this balanced and results-driven approach to improving the air quality at the San Pedro Bay ports. As someone who works, lives, and goes to school in this community, the cooperative agreement is a grounded and reasonable effort to achieve the common goal of cleaner air without disrupting the region's economic driver that is the San Pedro Bay Ports Complex, which supports the livelihoods of nearly 2 million fellow Southern California who rely on this industry. We respectfully request your support for the cooperative agreement. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Paul Granillo, CEO of the Inland Empire Economic Partnership. Just here to thank the staff of AQMD and the staff of the ports for working together on a very short time period. The Inland Empire is the California's second largest metropolitan area and does a lot of work for the state and the nation in the movement of goods. And the cooperative agreement helps to strike the right balance between achieving our air quality goals and continuing to support our economy. So thank you.
Thank you so much for attending. Al Sattler is next, followed by Monica Garcia, Eddie Rivera, and Christopher Allen. If those other names could please start lining up.
Good morning. I urge the board to reject this proposal. Yes, we need infrastructure to power our zero emission equipment, which we absolutely need. But it should also include the cap plus measures that will be in there. Rather than putting off discussion and negotiations on the cap plus until next year, shouldn't they be included in this? Otherwise, if there's a breakdown in negotiations on cap plus measures, the only recourse would be bailing out of this agreement, which seems drastic. Rather than just saying that cap plus measures will be discussed, there should be a commitment to numerical reductions in pollution reduction. This is by no means a call for a cap on shipping. It is also not a call for port automations. We need good jobs. Thank you all very much. And we need air pollution reduction and.
Thank you for your thoughts. Vice Chair, anything else about online, just so people know?
Again, we've cut off several minutes ago online testimony. So again, your hand should have been raised by now. Staff, is that correct? Did we cut it off? Thanks,
Okay,
Wayne.
thank you. Monica?
Good morning, Madam Chair and Governing Board. I'm Monica Garcia, Chief Executive Officer of the Wilmington Chamber of Commerce, representing over 400 local businesses that serve, employ, and contribute to the quality of life in Wilmington, also affectionately known as the heart of the harbor. I extend my sincere thanks to the Governing Board for their leadership and commend the SCA AQMD staff for their approach to improving air quality in our region. The proposed cooperative agreement is a prime example of what is possible when regulators and the regulated community work together. This agreement is a reasonable negotiated effort that supports cleaner air while maintaining the vital economic function of the ports. Living and working here, I know this framework will be collaborative, flexible, and enforceable, protecting both the region's clean air goals and the livelihoods of nearly 2 million Southern Californians who depend on the ports. I urge you to approve the cooperative agreement.
Thank you. Eddie Rivera, Christopher Allen will follow you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Governing Board. Thank you for the moment to speak to you guys. My name is Eddie Rivera, and I'm a member of the Laborers International Union of North America. In support of this agreement, I just want to encourage you guys all to please approve this. You guys keep all your components needed there to keep governing, which is what you do. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for giving your staff the opportunity, and obviously all the affected parties are interested and are at the table willing to work at what we need to do for the overall benefit of the communities and the people as a whole. Thank you for that leadership. I appreciate it, given in the circumstances that we're in with our government and lack of leadership there. Thank you guys for doing your part. Again, this is just to make things better. We're on the right path. We're on the right track. Let's keep it going that way so we could keep California as the...
Thank you so much for attending. After Christopher Allen will be Angie, if you could line up, and then Jose Avalos.
Good morning, Chair Delgado and AQMD Governing Board. My name is Christopher Allen. I'm here with APM Terminals. First off, I want to thank you all for your leadership on this. I want to thank staff for all the hard work you're doing with the ports of LA and Long Beach. I know that it was a true effort, and I really appreciate it. We have already started our zero emission journey and have procured quite a few zero emission. We'll continue to do that. We are in support of this agreement, and we encourage you to continue down this path. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Angie?
Good morning, Chair Delgado, members of the board. My name is Angie Gilbride, and I'm speaking on behalf of Maersk. First, we want to thank AQMD staff and the ports of LA and Long Beach for their significant efforts over the past couple of months to reach consensus on this cooperative agreement. This agreement builds on proven results and offers the most effective path forward toward our shared clean air goals. We recognize that there's still more work to do, and we remain committed to continued progress toward cleaner air and a more sustainable supply chain. We agree with staff's recommendation and we respectfully urge your support on this cooperative agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Jose Avalos is going to have translation. Gracias por venir. Jose Avalos está en su casa.
Buenos días, mi nombre es José Ábalos de San Bernardino. Tengo unas fotos que tomé en la calle D, en San Bernardino, a un lado de las oficinas de correos, donde muestran unos árboles que quedaron atrapados por las jardineras y que ahora son parte del mismo árbol. ¿Qué significa esto? Esto significa que los árboles son dependientes de estos. ¿Cuál es la similitud de la Comisión del Aire y las corporaciones? Lo mismo, que ustedes no pueden desprenderse de estos señores porque firman acuerdos sin tener en cuenta a la comunidad. No pueden hacer nada porque lo tienen como sus empleados. El pasado 3 de octubre, en esta misma tribuna, les pedí que rompieran esas cadenas, que los atan y fueran libres para hacer su trabajo, y no fue así. Hoy, 7 de noviembre, pueden hacerlo o seguir siendo empleados de estos señores. Deseo que hoy que regrese a San Bernardino, sabiendo que es mentira, que ustedes no van a firmar por tercera vez un acuerdo que esos señores han puesto en su escritorio. Quisiera saber que ustedes no son empleados de estos señores. Quisiera llegar a San Bernardino sabiendo que ustedes sí van a firmar, pero a firmar una regla donde nos lleve a respirar aire limpio, no a los MOU, y sí a un ICR.
Good morning. My name is Jose Avalos, and I am from San Bernardino. I took some pictures from D Street in San Bernardino, right next to the post office, where you could see some trees that were engulfed by these tree grates. And I see a parallel between those trees and you. Right now, these trees are completely depending on these tree grates. And I see a similarity.
Let's give them a little time to finish the translation.
And I see a similar situation with the AQMD because you cannot let go of them. You signed agreements and you don't take the community into account. You cannot do what you're supposed to do because now you work for them. On October 3rd, here, I ask you to break free from the chains and set yourselves free to do your job. And that wasn't the case. Today, November 7th, you can do it, or you can keep on relying on them. I want, I wish, I hope that today I can go back to San Bernardino knowing that this is a lie, that you will not sign this for the third time, that you will not sign an agreement with them, that agreement that they set on your desk. I'd like you to know that you don't work for them. I'd like to go back to San Bernardino knowing that you will sign a rulemaking process where we are allowed to breathe clean air. No to the MOU, yes to an ISR.
Gracias,
Thank you.
señor Avalos. Ma Carmen, also with translation, her name comes up later as well, if we could just remove that.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Macarmen de San Bernardino. Señores, les recuerdo que están en esos curules o sillas para velar por el aire limpio, por la salud pública, para hacer reglas, para salvar vidas, para ayudar a la comunidad, no para apoyar a la industria. Son acuerdos obsoletos, señores. Una vida más perdida, no más, por causa de la contaminación. En mi comunidad, muchas muertes, muchas personas con cáncer, cáncer de pulmón, muchos niños con alergia, asma, entre otras tantas enfermedades. Y ustedes, señores, negociando acuerdos. No, señores, ninguna muerte más. Por todo ello, seguiré luchando inagotablemente por mi salud, por la de mi familia y por la de mi comunidad. Pido no firmar acuerdos obsoletos y mediocres. Ustedes no pueden correr antes que caminar.
Good morning. My name is Maria Carmen, San Bernardino resident. Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you that you are on those seats so you can make sure that we breathe clean air, to make rules, to save lives, and to help the community, not to negotiate with the industry. I say no to obsolete agreements. I wish that we don't lose one more life because of pollution in my community. There have been many deaths already, lots of people with lung cancer, children with allergy, asthma, among many other illnesses. And you are negotiating agreements. No, no more deaths. I will continue fighting tirelessly for my health, my family's health, and my community's health. I ask you, do not sign any more obsolete and mediocre agreements. You cannot start running before knowing how to walk.
Thank you. Next.
Entonces hable un poco y denme la pausa a mí. I'm sorry, this is the interpreter speaking. He doesn't have any written remarks, so we're gonna do, we're gonna take turns.
Real time, kind of. Okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
Habla un poco y después.
Gracias por esta oportunidad.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Mi nombre es Benjamín Luna.
My name is Benjamin Luna.
No represento a ninguna compañía.
I am not speaking on
No
behalf
soy
of any
director de
companies.
ninguna compañía ni manager de ninguna compañía.
I am not the CEO or the manager of any company.
Tampoco represento algún sindicato.
I do not represent any unions either.
Soy un ciudadano de San Bernardino
I am a San Bernardino
y de este
resident,
gran país.
and I am a citizen of this great country.
Tengo 65 años.
I am 65 years old.
Lo acepte o no lo acepte, ya voy de salida.
Either I like it or not, I am on my way out.
Pero tengo 7 hermosos nietecitos.
But I have 7 gorgeous grandchildren,
7 que van empezando.
all 7 of them, they're just starting their lives.
La mayoría con problemas respiratorios.
Many of them suffer from breathing illnesses.
No me opongo al crecimiento y al desarrollo de este estado. Estoy a favor de esto.
I do not oppose to the growth and the development of this state. I don't.
Pero veo con tristeza los acuerdos que ustedes hacen en el oscurito.
But I observe with great sadness the agreements that you make in the shadows
sin tomar en cuenta a los más necesitados.
without taking into account the most vulnerable.
Desafortunadamente para ustedes somos números.
Unfortunately, us to you, we're just numbers,
No tienen rostro, no tienen voz, no tienen voto.
faceless, nameless, without a vote.
Pero ustedes están allí para defendernos.
But you are there to defend us.
Ustedes son nuestra voz, ustedes son nuestros ojos, ustedes son nuestros brazos.
Our voice, our eyes, our vote.
Me sentiría muy decepcionado si ustedes no defienden a los que realmente necesitan defender.
And I would be deeply disappointed if you did not defend the people that need defending.
Aplaudo todo lo que ustedes hacen en favor del progreso.
I applaud everything that you do for our progress.
Pero así como se esfuerzan en que esto progrese, denos a nosotros la oportunidad de vivir dignamente.
Muchas gracias. Thank you. The time is up. Next. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias. Next speaker. Kathy Ramirez, Alberto Leon, Allison Ham. Go ahead.
Hello, Board. My name is Kathy Ramirez. I urge you not to sign away your opportunity to do more to help address the region's air pollution crisis in exchange for a mere pinky promise. I'd also like to emphasize our support for including workers and community members in the conversation, as it is vital. We need unionized workers to decarbonize and reduce port pollution with major infrastructure needs. I would also like to uplift that our Accelerate to Zero ballot measure is an important opportunity to fund the necessary union-built infrastructure, but emissions reductions and enforceable measures are vital to ensure we accelerate efforts. In its current form, this agreement is glaringly incomplete and will not provide the emission reductions our communities desperately need. This is about our lives we're talking about, and I encourage you to think about why you joined the AQMD board. If it's not for clean air, then for what?
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez. Next, Alberto Leon. Welcome, Alberto.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alberto Leon Vasquez. I'm from San Bernardino. I am living here for many years, so I know what's happening in my community. I'm here demanding to vote not on this agreement. You think that we are doing a good thing for future generations? I don't think so. We all know that corporations, governments, they don't work, they don't think on our people. They just think on money. So that's why I'm here because this is a big challenge, not just for our state, but for the whole country and wide world. So that's why I'm here on behalf of my community, demanding this. So yes, made a good decision. Many different trades, economically, financially, politically, geopolitically, and this matter, you think that we're doing a good thing? So think about it.
Thank you, Alberto. Allison?
Buenas tardes, señores.
Sí, síguele.
Estoy aquí con un nerviosismo porque yo no acepto acuerdos y acuerdos de unos pocos. Yo acepto acuerdos, pero para mi comunidad que viene detrás de mí, a mis nietos, a mis hijos, a toda la gente. Y no saben, aquí de acuerdos, aquí se trata de conciencia, conciencia y conciencia. Y
Good morning. I am very nervous. I am not in agreement with you signing an agreement agreed by a few. I am in favor of agreements on behalf of my community, of my children, of my grandchildren. I'd like you to take consciousness, to have a collective consciousness.
a todo nos afecta, a todo mundo. Los químicos, el nombre es NOx, óxido de nitrógeno, contamina un camión parado y encendido. ¿Dónde queda el ozono?
The chemicals, and I'm talking about NOx, we have pollution by idling trucks. Where does that pollution end? In the ozone layer.
Los camiones queman diésel y contamina lo que no se quema. Eso que sale es NOx y el ozono, ¿dónde queda? Para respirar todos. Conciencia, conciencia. Por favor, no aprueben.
I ask you to please do not sign the agreement. The trucks, they burn diesel fuel and they contaminate. That is not good. The leftover of those diesel burning trucks is not the ozone that we all breathe.
Gracias por venir, señora Cordova. I have Alan next. Okay, Allison.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Allison Hom. I'm an attorney with NRDC and a member of the Impact Project. I'm here today because people are dying throughout the South Coast because they are breathing dirty air. Instead of advancing an ISR, staff is now pushing for a vote on an incomplete agreement. This agreement still contains empty placeholders, still under negotiation. When there are over 17 million lives on the line, that's not good enough. There are community members from the Harbor region to San Bernardino today because the ports impact the entire South Coast Air Basin. This is a regional pollution control agency created to improve air quality. AQMD must not advance an agreement that blocks rulemaking for 5 years. An agreement that lacks emission reduction targets, fails to meaningfully include labor, environmental, and environmental justice parties. The bottom line is that regulated parties, the port, should not become the regulators. This agency is required to set the rules, not defer to the ports to write the playbook.
Thank you so much. Now we have Alan, followed by Marvin Norman.
Good morning. My name is Alan McCorkle. I represent Houston Terminals in the Port of Los Angeles. We're a marine terminal operating company. Since I last addressed this board in early August, we have taken delivery of 8 additional pieces of zero emission equipment. And in taking on these 8 additional pieces of equipment, we have concurrently scrapped diesel equipment and have disposed of diesel equipment concurrently as we've done this. And this equipment is being plugged in and is being used. In the next 4 to 6 months, we'll be taking on an additional 7 more pieces of zero emission equipment, while we also start the engineering of our infrastructure to charge the equipment further down the road. So all the equipment that we have taken on, in addition to what I updated back in August, is being used and plugged in, used as we have scrapped the equipment that was before it, which was all diesel. I appreciate the work done by the ports of LA Long Beach, AQMD staff for the cooperative agreement, and just want to highlight, it's not just words on the paper.
All right, we have Marvin Norman, followed by Angel Theo.
Morning, Board, members of the public, Corbin Norman, Environmental Policy Analyst for CCAJ, which is a member of the Impact Project and also a San Bernardino resident. I'm here today because been here several times in the last couple months as we followed this, and it's of course concerning, of course, to see that we're moving forward with the cooperative agreement still. It would be good to at least have a rule underpinning it, as board members have asked several times, in the question and answer sessions with staff and stuff, essentially what's the incentive for what happens with the rule, with the agreement or whatever, what happens if like one party leaves, and that question is asked from board several times, and even staff has kind of implied it. And the obvious answer is that there's a rule underpinning it. Obviously, the rule that was being worked on is not going to be done today or anytime recently, but we need to have more than just the board giving away its power to make rules. Thank you.
Thank you, Marvin. Angel Theo. Are you Angel Theo?
Yes, I am. My name is Angel Theo. I am a UCR student and Riverside resident. I'm concerned that the current proposed agreement doesn't address the emissions from the ports of LA and Long Beach, and that a 5-year pause in rulemaking will curb the progress organizers have long been working towards. I urge the board to adopt stronger measures with a traceable direction towards absolute zero emissions. The transition to clean air must be accountable to specific and recurring emissions targets to eventually facilitate their total reduction. Only then will the AQMD bring about meaningful material change for the people of Southern California, who deserve more than to breathe the nation's worst air pollution. Please support a strong and sufficient ISR to support us through a transition that is actionable and truly impactful. Thank you.
Thank you. Marlon?
Hello, good morning, Chair Delgado and board members. My name is Marlon DeWoodgie, and I work with the Long Beach Alliance for Children with Asthma. And here we are again because our community's health continuously are being put at risk. Every day, we work with families whose children are frequently hospitalized due to respiratory complications and families who are just looking for some relief from some of the worst air quality in the nation. There's a reason why the South Coast AQMD even exists in the first place, because we have dire need for cleaner air. So this agency was created to develop and to enforce regulations to protect public health. How does 5 years or any time at all, because it does say paused in many of the presentations, honor that essence of this agency? It doesn't. It doesn't make sense to me listening to these conversations. It doesn't make sense to community. The longer we wait to place preventative measures, the more danger our people, the people who you are meant to protect, are placed in. Public health should always be our priority because health is for everyone.
Thank you. Sochiro Medrano, followed by Christian Tapia.
Good morning, Madam Chair and board members. My name is Sochi Medrano, and I'm speaking on behalf of the District Council of Iron Workers. We strongly support Agenda Item 30, the cooperative agreement with the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. This agreement is absolutely a win for us to get into the movement for clean air as well as good union jobs. Building and charging the fueling infrastructure needed to modernize port operations means quality, local construction work that skilled iron workers are trained and ready to do safely and efficiently. Cleaner port operations protect our health of our members and nearby communities while keeping our region competitive and investing in the future of transportation. We urge your approval of this item so we can get to work building the infrastructure that delivers both environmental progress and to our careers, not only just for the ironworkers, but for the building trades as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Christian, good to see you.
Hello, good morning. My name is Cristian Tapia Delgado with Pacific Environment, a Long Beach community resident, and urging you not to rush into this agreement. P is concerned with the 5-year moratorium on rulemaking, especially as the measures that are meant to protect communities and workers from port and shipping pollution are yet to be fleshed out. P has consultative status at the IMO, where we are seeing other countries rapidly moving towards cleaner shipping that creates economic opportunities, protects our climate and people. A voluntary 5-year moratorium on rulemaking is short-sighted. It risks leaving our smoggy region in California behind as others invest in cleaner technologies, And while the San Pedro Bay ports have achieved emission reduction since the creation of their cap, we must acknowledge that we started from a very bad place. And even now, decades later, our communities continue to bear the brunt of the impacts, increased rates of asthma, cardiovascular respiratory diseases, and premature death. To be clear, we stand with labor in ensuring that the clean energy transition delivers family-supporting jobs, but where are these protections in this agreement? This agency must ensure we have a right to.
Thank you, Christian. Diane Flowers, and then we've got Fernando Gaitan.
Hello, my name's Diane Petridge Flowers. I grew up in San Pedro. I've lived many years in Wilmington and North Long Beach, and we have a crisis. We have 1,500 people, these are your words, every year dying early. Who is it next? Somebody up there, somebody over here, somebody over here, your mother? Anyway, it's real, it's real. And that's to the board. My demand is that you vote no on this because it is too loose, the cooperative agreement. It's too loose. It needs strong emissions reductions. We need a rule now. Start on a rule now, not something a party might walk out of. And to the union members and the laborers in the harbor, my family's been working in the harbor for years, generations, and I'm with you. My husband was 51 years old when a shipyard closed.
Thank you so much for Fernando Gaitan. Will be followed by Harvey Eder and Paola Vargas.
Good morning, Fernando Gaitan with Earth Justice. I'm asking the board not to rush into an agreement that's not fully completed yet. Yes, infrastructure planning, the infrastructure planning element is a step in the right direction, but we leave unresolved essential emission reduction measures that are the backbone of real solutions for port pollution. It's important to point out that the agreement contains no specific emission reductions. The 5-year rulemaking pause is just a stall tactic to make a plan for a plan in the hope that emission reductions will come sometime in the future. If the infrastructure planning is ready to go, then limit the agreement to just that component. Continue to develop the remaining measures with all stakeholders at the table, and that the commitment is made to the AQMP, to the public, on your promises to deliver on port pollution. Thank you.
Thank you, Fernando. Harvey.
Hello there. We're asking for 3 minutes. What you're doing is highly illegal, and we're going to point out what it is, and it needs to be covered. We get 3?
Sorry, Harvey.
How about
Go
2?
ahead with the 1.
Okay. You've been backsliding. You had solar and wind in the 80 plan, 79 plan. That's illegal. Okay. Contingency measure on the front end, we put in 100 exhibits. It was ignored. It was done by Dr. Burke, and and it was not evaluated by y'all, CARB or EPA. On the back end, contingency measures. You have all these warehouses out there, and the indirect source was solar on them, and nothing was done to evaluate it. It was completely ignored. It's the obstruction of justice and cover up and all this stuff. And Rico, Lady Macbeth, you got blood on your hands. Something's rotten in Denmark, folks. And that's the way it is. That's the real, okay? These people talk about murder. The 20% of the world's deaths, 10 million, according to Lancet, 200 years out of London, is from air pollution, 1 million to 1.5 million in the United States. We're 12% of the population. We've got 100 to 200,000 deaths in California each year. This is real. And morbidity and stuff. That's the real and enough.
Thank you, Harvey. Paola Vargas. And then we've got Ashley Jackson, Kimberly Amaya, and Cindy Donis.
Hi, everyone. Paola Vargas, she here with East Yard Communities for Environmental Justice. I'm here to also urge the board to vote no. I also don't know what else to say, to be honest, that you haven't already ignored from myself and from other community members, except that y'all know what you're doing. If you vote this in, you're cutting community out of the process. You and the ports can say as much as you can about your public process, but you know that we've told you that this doesn't work. It doesn't work for us. And you're continuing to ignore our expertise and a lot of the expertise that's in these rooms. Time and time again, telling you So thanks.
Thank you, Paola. Know that you are heard. Ashley Jackson.
Good morning, board members and Chair Delgado. I am the Inland Empire Regional Organizer with California Environmental Voters. And I want to be very clear, this current proposed MOU is not accountability. It is an avoidance. The board's role is to protect public health, not to smooth over tensions with the industry. Yet this process prioritizes comfort over courage. Children in San Bernardino and Riverside counties are going to the ER still for asthma attacks, and families are still breathing toxic diesel fuels from the very supply chain that fuels our economy. Our communities deserve a living agreement, one with measurable benchmarks, real enforceable consequences for the ports, and a commitment to transparency. Reject this proposal. It lacks the necessary amendments to protect our communities. Our region deserves action, not appeasement to our polluters. Thank you.
Thank you. Kimberly?
Good morning. I'm Kimberly, a resident of Long Beach and community member with East Side Communities for Environmental Justice. This sudden pivot to the MOU process is so disrespectful to the communities who have been here time and time again, advocating for emission reductions and better quality of life. After the many years of trying to come to an agreement, now you want to applaud a quick turnaround for the work that should have been happening. Okay. And to top it all off, you're willing to stop rulemaking for 5 years without committing the ports to any new enforceable measures to cut pollution. If this incomplete MOU passes, it tells me loud and clear that you do not care nor prioritize the health of communities. Isn't this supposed to be an air regulating board? Stop bending over backwards for these industries and protect public health.
Thank you, Kimberly. Cindy Donis?
Hi, my name is Cindy Donis. I'm an organizer and community member with East Yard Communities for Environmental Justice. I grew up here on unceded Tongva Gabrielino territory. And truly, this agreement is a disgusting and shameful display of greed, profit, and maintaining with the status quo over people, the environment, community, family, and life, just way over life. It is a death sentence to so many lives, a chokehold on our Mother Earth, and a shot in the foot to your own power as an agency. I strongly urge you to vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. Polash?
Good morning. I'm Palash Mukherjee, speaking on the behalf of the Coalition for Clean Air. I urge AQMD to reconsider the broad pause on rulemaking included in today's agreement, which could delay critical clean air measures beyond just SEV and port infrastructure. The draft agreement also restricts new emission reductions or regulatory requirements. This is a contradiction to what the staff presentation has indicated as the next steps just today. Approving this could severely limit AQMD's abilities to advance future port emission controls as well as set a precedent for other pollution sources. The AQMD has long been a global model for science-based, community-driven air quality leadership. Please don't turn back on that legacy. Please consider narrowing or removing the rulemaking pause. Thank you.
Thank you, Polash. Joaquin Castellos, is that? No.
Yeah,
I
Castillejos, yeah.
sorry.
Good
I
morning.
need to put my glasses back on.
No, you're good, don't worry. Good morning, my name is Joaquin Castillejos. I'm an organizer with Center for Community Action and Environmental Justice and a resident of Bloomington in the Inland Empire. I'm here today to ask the board to oppose item 30 and vote against the cooperative agreement. This agreement is just another example of our government institutions betraying the people at a time when there's already very low trust in the government. You know, this is just another example of the continuing practice of that, of the practice of profit over people. We need to protect our communities. We need to protect workers. We need to protect the health and safety of the people of the South Basin. If we want to protect workers, let's clean up the ports. My dad was a truck driver in the ports for over 20 years, and he developed severe asthma. I remember being little and for months at a time, seeing him have to stay home from work, not being able to work because his asthma was so bad. It wasn't until he stopped working in the
Thank you. Welcome, Sal.
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair and governing board members. My name is Sal DiCostanzo, and on behalf of the 17,000 ILW members working every day in the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach, I urge you to vote in favor of approving the cooperative agreement before you today. This cooperative agreement establishes a collaborative and enforceable framework that supports the region's air quality goals without harming the economic vitality of the ports or the livelihoods of our members and local communities by imposing caps on cargo. The cooperative agreement introduces cap plus measures that will expand the use of zero emissions drayage trucks, cargo handling equipment, locomotives, hovercraft, and ocean-going vessels. We encourage the AQMD as well as the ports to continue recognizing that taxpayer dollars should not be used to pay for automation projects that put those same taxpayers out of work. To that end, we were delighted to see both ports' response to our October 21st letter, where they acknowledged that federal and state restrictions are placed on the use of public monies for use in automation projects.
Thank you. Dave Ware.
Chairman Delgado, Governing Board, good morning. Thank you. My name is Dave Ware, Vice President of Ocean Network Express, one of the largest ocean carriers calling the Port of LA Long Beach. I'm here to thank the staff, ports of LA and Long Beach for their diligence and hard work on putting together a very comprehensive cooperative agreement. We are in full support of that, and we urge you to vote yes and move this progress forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Wiltfong.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Wiltfong with the Supply Chain Federation. We represent all the different links of America's supply chain, from ports, warehouses, transportation, and labor. Just wanted to lend our support for the cooperative agreement as well, and also thank the staff of the AQMD and also the ports for working together over the last several months to come up with this agreement. The ports have done a tremendous job in reducing emissions over the year, and so has the AQMD, and we're confident this cooperative agreement will continue to reduce emissions in our region. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Thurl.
Thank you. Glad to be here this morning. Thurl Golden from West Long Beach. I'm here not to support the passing of this rule as it is currently written. The communities will not receive any relief for somewhere between 15 and 25 years from this rule. Negative health impacts are happening every day. People are dying. In that time period, anywhere from 15 to 40,000 people will be dead from the work activity that's being produced by the port. The pollution is killing people. This is not a time to put a Band-Aid over a surgical incision. We need relief today, not 25 years from now. The process that we've gone through here does not actually hit the problem, death. In the next few years, the number of people who die, everyone who votes for this will be.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to note for the record that Councilmember Rahman does not have a financial interest, but she's identifying for the record that she's a council member for the city of Los Angeles, which is involved in this item.
Thank you. Go ahead, Alexis.
Hello. Please note that I'll only be speaking once today. So, hello everyone. My name is Alexis Coria, and I'm the Corporate Communications Manager at TrayPack Container Terminal, located at the Port of Los Angeles. I just wanted to thank you to the board and the governing board and South Coast AQMD staff for your efforts in promoting a balanced and result-driven approach to improving the air quality at the San Pedro Bay ports. Respectfully request your support to the cooperative agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Dory.
I'll do my best with the minute. Governing Board, Dory Chandler, Coalition for Clean Air. After pausing rulemaking and ping-ponging staff since 2017, this process comes before you today to see if you got a better deal by negotiating than by regulating. Did you get what you want out of this deal? Was it good? Was it a good deal for both sides? Mayors Richardson and Bass acquiesced to the port. They think they got a good deal. Well, instead of 2 years to get an infrastructure plan done, it will now take 5 years. That's a great deal. Instead of infrastructure and emissions reductions are no longer within the scope of this agreement. There's a black box good faith agreement to negotiate potential emissions reductions. This decision makes NAC's attainment virtually impossible, losing us savings of $18 billion in public health benefits, and may result in the Trump administration imposing devastating sanctions upon the district. That's a great deal. Instead of maintaining your authority to protect public health using all feasible measures on this dais voted on in the AQMP, you now get to give it up regulatory power for 5 years and hope for the best. That's a great.
Thank you. Chris Chavez?
Chris Chavez, Coalition for Clean Air. We oppose the proposed MOU. Your argument boils down to we retain the power, we just won't use it. That would be laughable if health was not on the line. The ports are the largest single source of NOx pollution in the region, the smoggiest air basin in the country, and we just saw emissions increase over the past year. Yet this deal essentially lets the ports dictate the next 5 years of air quality policy. AB 617 communities were excluded from the decision-making process. More alarmingly, this district weaponized the Brown Act to prevent the Environmental Justice Advisory Group from even being able to discuss this item. This ordeal has been deeply corrosive of the relationship between the environmental stakeholders and AQMD. We have gone to bat for you time after time after time again, only to find ourselves sidelined. The fight for clean air will persist even if you and your staff choose surrender.
Thank you for all your hard work, Chris, on this. Lisa?
Good morning, AQMD Board. My name is Lisa Wonder. I'm the Director of Environmental Management at the Port of Los Angeles, commenting on behalf of the Port of LA and City of Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. We believe that this cooperative agreement is the best way to build upon our decades of work successfully reducing air emissions from port mobile sources through collaboration with our many stakeholders. We would like to thank the AQMD for their partnership and efforts in expeditiously bringing this cooperative agreement forward for consideration today. The agreement before you today contains enforceable commitments on behalf of the ports to plan for and develop infrastructure for all 5 mobile source categories that operate in and around the ports, including commitments for a robust public process. We further commit to working with AQMD staff and all our stakeholders to continue the momentum to develop additional CAP Plus measures for board consideration in spring 2006. Thank you.
Thank you. Elise?
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Elise Swanson, President and CEO of the San Pedro Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of our Board of Directors and over 470 members, I thank the Governing Board for your leadership and commend SCAQMD staff for their efforts in creating a balanced, results-driven approach to improving air quality at the San Pedro Bay ports. I live and work in San Pedro, and your actions to support the cooperative agreement will establish an enforceable framework that supports the region's critical clean air goals without harming the critical economic vitality of the ports or threatening the livelihoods of over 1 million Southern Californians who rely on trade and logistics. Our board, our members, we ask you today to support the staff recommendation and approve the cooperative agreement. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tommy, what's up next?
All right, good afternoon, board and staff and community and labor and everyone that's here today. My name is Tommy Falvai. I represent IBEW, Electrical Workers, Local 11. We're here in full support of the cooperative agreement. We know how tough these agreements can be, especially when it comes to, and I deal with it a lot when it comes to our union and working alongside with our management. But, these times, we have to be together. We have to be together in support of the community, in support of labor, support of jobs. That really means a lot to us. I'm a Pacific Islander, Samoan American. I live in Carson. And, I'm here to speak on behalf of all of our Pacific Islanders in the South Bay. Because a lot of those jobs that are on the docks, a lot of those jobs that are skilled and trained workforce, that does a lot of work at the ports is represented.
Thank you. Rosa Gonzalez?
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Rosa Gonzalez, and I'm a resident of Fontana. So the proposed cooperative agreement was rushed and incomplete. It does not ensure that the ports will actually commit to reducing emissions the way a port ISR would. It does not consider the millions of people, many in this room, who will be immediately affected by daily pollution from the ports. The port industry, as all other major industries, must be held accountable for their impacts on the health of our communities. I urge you to vote no on the proposed agreement so we can make our communities healthier today and not 5 years from now. Thank you.
Thank you. Others, Andrea. Andrea Vidaure.
Andrea, primero.
Ah, sorry about that. Okay, hi everybody. Yeah, I don't even really know what to say. This is like incredibly disappointing that we're having this conversation. And something that we know is a fact is how many people die a day from air pollution. What we know is not a fact that you're going to get anything from this MOU. I really don't want to be here and have to do that. We told you so, because there are so many lives that are affected by that. You know that MOUs haven't worked, right? That's why we celebrated a rail ISR a couple of years ago, right? Because of failed MOU. Are you really going to wait 20 years for us to figure that out? 20 years of how many deaths that are going to happen. So that I really don't have too much to say given how you guys are going to vote. But if you think that the conversation you had before this actually is going to give us any security about what meetings are going to happen, what advisory committees are going to be, when they need to come back, none of that has been detailed out. So I really hope that the conversation after this actually gets all of that in writing when we're coming back and when there's a switch to an ISR. Thank you.
Thank you for holding us accountable, Andrea. Marina Benitez. With
Buenas
translation.
tardes, good afternoon. Hola, mi nombre es Marina, yo vivo en San Bernardino y estoy aquí pidiéndoles y por favor que nos ayuden a proteger el ambiente, que este ambiente sea fresco, saludable. Tienen que tener en cuenta cómo nos afecta la contaminación y el problema que tenemos por tanto tráiler y por el crecimiento de esos puertos que no hacen nada para protegernos de eso. Necesitamos que actúen por nuestra generación, por nuestros hijos, por nuestros nietos. Si ustedes tienen nietos, tienen hijos. Queremos que la próxima generación esté sana, no tenga cáncer, no tenga diabetes, no tenga alta presión, que no sufran en la noche por no poder dormir. A las 3, 4 de la mañana está la gente parada porque no se puede dormir, no se puede respirar. Necesitamos aire limpio para la siguiente generación. Espero que esto les haga conciencia en su mente y en su corazón. Gracias.
Oh, sorry.
Good morning. My name is Marina. I live in San Bernardino. I am here to request that you help us protect the environment so that it can be healthy. Take into account how we are affected by pollution, the problems that we have because of all the big rigs and because of the growth of the ports. You do nothing to protect us from that. We need you to act on behalf of our generation. And if not on behalf of our generation, then of the next generation. Also, I'd like to ask you if you have any children, any grandchildren, think about the next generation. We want a healthy generation, free of cancer, free of diabetes, free of high blood pressure. Right now, our community at 3, 4 a.m. in the morning, nobody can sleep. They cannot sleep because they cannot breathe. So I ask of you that you please guarantee clean air for the next generation. Thank you.
Gracias. Okay, Maravilla.
I'm not gonna spend time talking about the facts. You guys have heard of them, and you refuse to look people in the eyes when they're talking to you. So if we could have mutual respect, I'd really appreciate it. For 1 minute is not that hard. Thank you. You're all parents. You all included that in your bio on the website. I read about all of you this morning and tried to do so with kindness in my heart. So I'm going to ask you, if your most important job is being husband and father and mom and wife and family, how are you keeping your family safe by doing something like this? I think that this board is making a choice to like surpass the real work that it takes to do something like this. I heard over and over again, this happened so fast. For all of the construction folks in the room, if it's built fast, is it built good? No, no. I think that this board is not doing a good job at making sure they're signing a good contract. And then I just want to remind you I'll speak loudly, there comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe nor popular, but we must take it because his conscience tells him it is right. Do not forget the giants of the shoulders that you sit on to have made this your career and do something for your own children, if not the children of this people.
Thank you, Maravilla. Trustee Parks? No, Jesse Parks? Last call, Jesse Parks. Is your name pronounced Havina?
Savina.
Savina.
Hello, my name is Savina Walbert, here on behalf of People's Collective for Environmental Justice, born and raised in San Bernardino. I urge you all to stand your ground, don't be bullied, don't sell out, and really think if the cooperative agreement is protecting the people and the air you are supposed to. How many industries would have advocated for the environment and public health if the people and the law weren't on their asses? Be the backbone for the people that you're supposed to be. As one of our fellow neighbors said, the ports aren't supposed to be regulators. You are. Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas Castro, followed by Thomas Jelinek.
Good morning. My name is Tomas Castro. This item represents an unfortunate trend in the recent history of the South Coast AQMD, which is to ignore the pleas of environmental justice communities for clean air and public health in favor of the corrupt corporate influence of polluters. This board should take this chance to act boldly to ensure the ports truly reach zero emissions and reduce the harmful pollution that have plagued our communities for decades. Instead, this agreement voluntarily surrenders the agency's rulemaking authority and capitulates to the demands of polluters. At a time when we see mass federal neglect of the ever-worsening impacts of climate change, environmental injustice, and public health, our regional leaders should be stepping up to protect us. But in 2025, it seems the AQMD is content to let our communities suffer. We expect more from this agency. Please strengthen this agreement so that the ports reach zero emissions. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Thomas.
Good morning, Chair Delgado, board members. Thank you for the opportunity to provide these comments, and thank you for your leadership this morning. My name is Thomas Jelinich. I'm with PMSA. I'm here on behalf of our members, who you see here out in the audience today. All of us are here to support this cooperative agreement. I want to thank you for all the time you have invested in this long, bumpy, difficult road. You've spent a lot of time learning about the issues, learning about the work that's underway, and learning about the work that will continue under this cooperative agreement. The cooperative agreement is the best path forward to the development of zero emissions infrastructure. And we look forward to being part of that process. This agreement negotiated between the ports and AQMD is the single best forward. We urge your support for this.
Thank you. Darlene F. Leon Cardenas.
Hello, my name is Darlene F. Leon Cardenas. I'm a frontline community member and I oppose the proposed cooperative agreement. This one-sided agreement where South Coast AQMD has no authority over protecting for 5 years is a death sentence. You are allowing the port industry to pollute frontline communities in the name of profit. You are supposed to protect the people, not the pockets of the port industry. Delay this vote like you have delayed the port ISR until you have concrete emission reduction plans. You voted for a warehouse ISR and you know it's working. Why would you deny the port communities the opportunity of having cleaner air? You all know that 3 people die at the ports and 11 people die in the region you oversee every day. Step down if you're not willing to do your job.
Thank you. Zagri Garnica?
Hello, my name is Zagri Garnica. I live in the Inland Empire and I'm from a frontline community and a student focused on mechanical engineering. I oppose the proposed cooperative agreement. It is outrageous to consider this without including specific emission reduction commitments and enforceable measures. You have one job, and it is to ensure air quality for the 17 million people in the region. Don't use the excuse that technology is not there yet when students like myself are learning about new technology. Why would you deny communities the chance to cleaner ports?
Thank you. Nathan Carvajal?
Hello, good morning. I'm Nathan Carvajal. I grew up in the Lakewood Long Beach area, and I oppose this cooperative agreement. This agreement has been rushed without any input from the larger community. We had weak office hour meetings and an even weaker meeting at Long Beach City College. This agreement steps on the graves of the thousands of community members in the port area that have died due to port emissions. So if we tried to get in a rule passed years ago, right? A lot of people in this room, a lot of the elders in this room are not going to be able to wait 5 years for a rule or anything like that. This rush agreement will put more blood on the hands of the ports, the mayors, and all y'all as the board. We need a rule that caps emissions years ago. I urge y'all to vote no on this agreement.
Thank you. Ebony Guerrero?
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Ebony Guerrero, and I'm part of the California Youth Leadership Corps, a program that helps historically marginalized college students become community leaders. As a young person that is concerned about my future, I oppose this cooperative agreement. I am aware that our region emits one of the largest amounts of air pollution in the nation, making us weak physically and even mentally, even more so in communities of color like mine. The ports are the largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in the region, and this makes nearby communities vulnerable to asthma and other long-lasting respiratory illnesses. My family has been personally a victim of this, especially my little brother, who has struggled with asthma since he was a kid, preventing him from playing football, his favorite sport. With that being said, South Coast Air Quality Management District is obligated to reduce air pollution in communities like mine for the sake of the health of our youth, your youth. I urge you all to finally make the ports reduce their emissions to zero, the health and livelihood and the future of millions of young people.
Thank you, Ebony. Sylvia Betancourt?
Good morning, Madam Chair, board members. My name is Silvia Betancourt with the Long Beach Alliance for Children with Asthma. I'm here today to encourage you to make a decision that is responsible to our children. As you know, children come out of the hospital and go back to their homes where they continue to be exposed to diesel pollution. The choice that you're making today is a reflection of that responsibility to these little lungs that are impacted daily by this pollution. This agreement does not nearly go far enough, and in fact, will make children and their families wait even longer. We've been waiting for pollution reductions for years. And at this time, when you have this responsibility, I want to encourage you to vote with the responsibility of children and their future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Maria Garcia?
Good morning. My name is Maria Garcia, and I'm a community health worker for the Long Beach Alliance for Children with Asthma. Thank you for allowing me to say some words. On behalf of the Children's Day, not able to speak in this podium, and the people who is in the hospital, not able to breathe normally like us. And I was thinking in the words to say for you guys, everything has been said, but you have the power in your hands. If you have the power and the government is giving you the power, use it and do the best you can, because in my work, every single day, seeing kids not able to breathe normally, having asthma attacks, because I do home visits for them, and trying to help is very difficult. And please make my life more easy to help these families to breathe better air because you have the power in your hand.
Thank you. Obed Leon, followed by Whitney Amaya, and then Eric.
Good morning. So first of all, I want to thank the AQMD board members and staff. I'm Obed Leon, a student at Fullerton College. Today, I'm here to express that I'm really disappointed by South Coast AQMD that dropped the port rules and chose a private deal instead. The ports are one of the biggest source of pollution in our region, and it's not fair for our community. People have been asking for real rules to cut emissions for years, not another voluntary plan that doesn't guarantee cleaner air. We need AQMD to listen to the community, to the people, and it's supposed to bring back strong public rules that actually reduce port pollutions. As AQMD to pass strong rules that actually cut emissions instead of making deals that don't guarantee change. We need leadership that put people's health before profits and help create cleaner, safer environment for everybody. Let's just think about the future. We're young and we need better air quality. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Whitney.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Whitney Amaya. I'm a resident of West Long Beach and community member with East Yard Communities for Environmental Justice. So to be clear, and just so that everyone is aware, this agreement is still very much incomplete. It doesn't include any emission reductions, and it doesn't include any protections against automation. And so that's to the workers who are here, just so that you know. This board and staff continues to ignore our communities and is blindly moving forward with prohibiting rulemaking for the next 5 years. I urge you to reject this agreement. But based on your comments, it's clear that you've already made your decision against that, which only reaffirms to me why this agency isn't to be trusted. Earlier this year, Wayne said, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, we're not going to go through that again." Well, congrats to you, Wayne, and to the rest of this board for being fools.
Thank you, Whitney. Eric, and then we've got Juan Jose Razo.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Eric Garcia, and I am here on behalf of Emerge, and I am a born and raised in Wilmington and a current student of Los Angeles Harbor College. And the push to collaborate and not regulate is disappointing. And as someone who has monitored the air quality for a year with our own monitors, AQMD reports are reporting nearly 50% less than what the actual AQI. And so my question is, how can we trust this collaboration? If I'm gonna have an early grave because of this, I do not want this to pass. Thank you.
Thank you. And I really hope you don't have an early grave, Eric. That's terrible.
Hello, my name is Juan Jose Razo. I am a resident of the Wilmington area. I work with Emerge, which is supervised by Ms. Magali Sanchez-Halls. I'm also working with Howard University regarding the air quality within the Wilmington area that is being produced by the pollution that is being sorry, I'm a little nervous. That is being produced by the San Pedro ports. Honestly, the fact that we have to even discuss this is frankly disappointing. That it's just crazy to imagine. Regarding to what my co-worker said, Eric, sorry. Like I was saying, most of the agencies that we have seen as the AQMD have been under-reporting. As right now, I took a screenshot of the air quality within one of our neighborhoods. It was 116, and when you compare it to AQMD, it's showing 72.
Magali Sanchez Hall, and our final speaker here will be Angie B.
Power to the people first. Now, I want to mention something that was sent to me by Ian Macmillan, who were sitting at the table, I asked in the last meeting, and he said, quote, "The only organizations who were in the negotiation sessions were staff from South Coast AQMD. Shame. The Port of LA, shame in Long Beach, shame in the cities of LA and Long Beach. The names I will not mention, which I was going to do because it's a waste of time. South Coast AQMD, Board of the City of Long Beach City Attorney's Office, City of Long Beach Mayor's Office, Port and City of LA City Attorney's Office, Los Angeles Mayor's Office, all of you, shame on you for doing something in 45 days when we've been fighting for an indirect source rule for over 10. 617.
Thank you, Magali.
All of you.
Angie B. is our final speaker.
Hello, everyone. Board, my name is Angie B. I'm a resident of the IE. I want to start off by saying we need a strong ISR now, not 20, 30 years from now, not later, now. There's nothing cooperative about this MOU. It's just another Band-Aid and weak as ever. This is a MOU, one-sided with y'all and these polluters. As a lifelong union member, I believe we should fight for all to have a better way of life. We shouldn't compromise our health and our well-being of our loved ones for a quick buck. Community, I want you to pay attention to these decision makers when they want your vote. If they don't vote for you and your safety, they are puppets to the polluters, so don't be their puppet when it comes time to vote. You all don't need to start a new committee. You have each. That I sit on, start with us, utilize us, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Angie. And then I'll turn it over to the Vice Chair for online comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll start online comments with Peter Schrappen, AWO. Go ahead, Peter.
Good morning, board members. My name is Peter Schrappen, Pacific Region Vice President for the American Waterways Operators. AWO is the tugboat, towboat, and barge industry's advocate, resource, and united voice for safe, sustainable, and efficient transportation on America's waterways, oceans, and coasts. AWO strongly supports the finalization and adoption of the cooperative agreement. We encourage the board to choose the partnership and safeguard these bedrocks of California's economy. The ports form the backbone of California's robust supply chain, employing nearly 1 million workers directly and generating $500 billion annually. However, this supply chain is facing increasing pressure from tariffs and rising consumer costs and infrastructure issues. The rulemaking previously considered would only have exacerbated these challenges. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Peter. Next is Fernando Marquez Duarte. Fernando, go ahead, followed by Manuel Cunha.
Hello, board members. My name is Fernando Marquez Duarte with the People's Collective. And there are a few things I wanted to mention. Just begin to say that don't say there was significant community engagement. What staff mentioned, it wasn't significant. It wasn't community engagement. And most importantly, most of you board members and staff have never considered our feedback, and it shows in this last version. I'm tired of using arguments and data in my public comment and participation if we are continuously ignored. This agreement is clearly not finished, and so you cannot vote in an unfinished agreement. Don't sign a blank check. There are still no emission reductions included in this agreement. That's no use for the community. And finally, the resolution attached to the agreement still has a 5-year rule ban, which is clearly unacceptable. So yeah, as I have said before, do the right thing for once. Thank you.
Thank you, Fernando. Next is Manuel Cunha. Go ahead, Manuel.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great, thank you. First, Manuel Cunha, President of Nisei Farmers League, along with the African American Farmers of California. I want to thank the board, Wayne Nastry and his entire team, to work with the ports, the community, the businesses of the importance. And I think your agreement will achieve what you need to achieve in the South Coast. But also thinking, again, like we mentioned last time, the food chain is absolutely crucial and must move and cannot wait in a port. So we always have to think that. And secondly, definitely, Mr. Nastry, we need to think very carefully as well with our two neighboring countries that come into your port. Again, I want to thank Wayne Nastry and his entire staff and the port staff and everybody in the mayors for working hard on this. I think it's a great opportunity to have an agreement versus a rule, but you still have that down the road. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Manuel. Next is Henry Rogers, followed by Scott Higman. Go ahead, Henry.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. I'm speaking today on behalf of the Harbor Association of Industry and Commerce in strong support of the cooperative agreement between the Air District and the ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles. The agreement represents real collaboration that delivers results. Since 2005, the ports have reduced diesel particulate matter by over 90% and by more than 70% of sulfur oxide. The framework before you strengthens accountability and transparency while giving the ports the flexibility to deploy zero-emission technologies responsibly. It recognizes that large-scale infrastructure changes must advance carefully to protect both air quality and regional jobs. We respectfully urge you to support Agenda Item 30, and thank you for your leadership and support for a balanced, results-driven approach.
Thanks, Henry. Next, Scott Higman. Scott, you're muted.
Good morning, Chair Delgado and members of the board. My name is Scott Higman, and I serve as the Director of Safety, Security, and Compliance at Mediterranean Shipping Company USA. And I'd like to express our support for the cooperative agreement initiative aimed at achieving cleaner air through the reduced emissions at the port. We genuinely commend the efforts of the South Coast AQMD and the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach for their dedication to this practical solution. The flexibility that the cooperative agreement will allow the waterfront community to overcome real-world challenges while accelerating the path to effective zero emissions. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Bill Quinn, welcome, Bill.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Bill Quinn. I'm with CEEB, the California Council for Environmental and Economic Balance. I'm here today to support the staff proposal. I encourage the board to approve this agreement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Next is Nick Chiappe. Nick?
Good morning. Nick Chappie here on behalf of the California Trucking Association. We strongly urge the board to approve the proposed resolution and move forward with the cooperative agreement with the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. The ports support millions of jobs and generate hundreds of billions in economic activity, all while they have overseen a significant reduction in emissions over the past several decades. The turnover of older equipment for newer, cleaner technology by motor carriers and fleets has been a key driver of this progress. The cooperative agreement's proposed measures build upon these critical emission reduction programs by delivering proven results sooner and essential investments that can increase zero-emission vehicle adoption now and not later. Again, we urge the board to approve the proposed resolution and thank AQMD and the ports for their work in landing this agreement. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Next speaker is Amanda Walsh, Orange County Business.
Thank you. My name is Amanda Walsh, Vice President of Government Affairs for the Orange County Business Council. We commend the leadership of the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach, as well as the SCAQMD, for reaching this collaborative agreement, as it does create a strong framework to advance cleaner air, stronger infrastructure, and a more resilient goods movement system. The ports are a vital economic engine supporting millions of jobs and billions of economic activities. A cooperative outcome-based approach ensures continued air quality progress while also maintaining the efficiency of our goods movement network. With that, we urge you to support the agreement as it's a balanced, result-driven solution that advances both environmental and economic goals. Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. Next is Lair Pierce. Go ahead, Lair. You're muted. Lair Pierce, you're muted. Go ahead. We'll come back. Next is John Kendrick. John, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Delgado and members of the board. John Kendrick for the California Chamber of Commerce. We support adoption of this resolution and approval of the cooperative agreement. Thank you for having the foresight to pause rulemaking and create the space for these negotiations to succeed. That decision demonstrated real leadership and made possible the collaborative outcome before you today, grounded in shared responsibility, transparency, and technical feasibility. I also want to recognize staff from all parties for their hard work and persistence in creating a balanced and viable agreement which builds on the district's AQMP by advancing mobile source control measures MOB 1 and 15 with a framework for delivering the zero emission charging and fueling infrastructure needed to support cleaner port operations. Importantly, the cooperative framework provides accountability through defined schedules, public reporting, and clear enforcement mechanisms. It also recognizes the operational realities of port governance, the need for partnership among industry, local agencies, and AQMD. We urge you to approve the resolution as the most effective path toward long-term port emissions reductions. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Next, we'll try again. Larry Pierce, go ahead. Larry, you're still muted. If you can unmute. Okay, we'll come back. Gracia Mahabir, you're up. Go ahead, please.
Hi, good morning, Chair and Board. Grishina Mohabir with California Environmental Voters. As my colleague Ashley stated, the agreement and resolution before you today do not deliver on the accountability that we need from the district. We've been reminded numerous times today that yes, a vast amount of this work happened quickly to develop the bulk of this agreement in the 45-day negotiation period. While we appreciate that additional amendments were made since then, the process was rushed. There's remaining ambiguity, especially about the cap measures that will be ironed out next year. It begs the question, is this agreement one that is not adequately addressing the concerns shared by community? Is it appropriate? It seems imprudent to have the board vote on something half-baked for the sake of getting it out on time to the next responsible parties. We need certainty that we will see a concrete amount of reductions. We need a commitment to better public process, and we need a concrete plan for what happens if any of the parties walk away from the agreement. Given this, I urge pragmatism from the board today. The agreement as written is incomplete, and we urge your no vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Next again, Larry Pierce, go ahead, please. You're still muted. Please unmute. Next.
Hello?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I messed up there. Good morning. I am Larry Pierce. I'm representing the Southern California Leadership Council. Our board includes 3 former California governors and many of our region's most prominent leaders. We provide nonpartisan leadership to support the region's economic vitality, job growth, and quality of life. Earlier this year, we completed a study to quantify the regional economic impact of our ports in the trade and logistics sector. And the study found that the sector contributes nearly $5 billion in annual economic output, $157 billion in annual labor income, supports the direct employment of more than 2 million workers, and generates more than $93 billion annually in federal, state, and local tax revenues. The cooperative agreement protects all this while advancing zero emission goals, so we urge you to accept the staff recommendation and approve the cooperative agreement. Thank you for your patience and your leadership.
Thank you. Next is W. Bartleson. Go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair, Board, AQMD staff. My name is William Bartleson on behalf of the Pacific Maritime Association. I just wanted to say that the give and take of ideas and compromises in this process, it mirrors exactly what a real world transition to zero emissions looks like. It's practical, it's inclusive, and it's grounded in shared goals. I believe passing this agreement will deliver cleaner air, keep the good paying jobs that you've heard about today, honor labor agreements and the collective bargaining process, and maintain economic stability for everyone who lives, works, and does business in these communities. That is why, on behalf of PMA, I am very appreciative for the support and approval of the cooperative agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Antonio Torres Jr.
Hello, I'm Antonio Torres, a UCR student from Paris. The proposed planned agreement is just more voluntary measures. This is not enough. This is a known delay tactic. 2 failed MOUs have already taken years, and now the ports are stalling again. We are told this is too complex of a transition for a rule. That is just an excuse. This is an opportunity for American innovation to lead, not a reason to fall behind. The community is clear. MOUs are not an option. They are non-binding and non-enforceable. Mitigation of harm cannot be voluntary. It must be regulated. When has real mitigation ever been voluntary? We demand an enforceable ISR. We need binding targets for zero emissions. We need penalties for missed targets. And these can't just be fines that the ports can budget for as the cost of doing business. We need real regulations. Communities like mine cannot wait. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Matthew Lyons from the San Gabriel Valley Economic Partnership. Welcome, Matthew.
Hi, my name is Matt Lyons. I'm from the Economic Partnership, and we continue to believe that the cooperative agreement is far superior alternative to the previously proposed rule, PR 2304. Please allow me to express our strong support on behalf of the partnership and its membership for the adoption of the cooperative agreement as negotiated by the staff of the Air Quality Management District and the cities and ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matthew. Next is Elise Wallace. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. My name is Elise Wallace, and I'm with the American Lung Association. Our organization has several concerns about this draft agreement, including the fact that communities most impacted by port pollution were not meaningfully included in the negotiations process, that the agreement does not track emission data to better understand health impacts, and the board resolution that includes a 5-year moratorium on rulemaking. We know that communities living near transportation hubs like ports are exposed to multiple pollution sources and are therefore more vulnerable to developing negative health outcomes from breathing high levels of polluted air. We are counting on South Coast to continue to lead on clean air issues today. We can't afford to wait 5 years to reduce emissions. So again, we urge you to reconsider this agreement and note our extreme concern with a 5-year pause for no regulatory action, and ensure the plan will reduce emissions and improve public health. Thank you.
Thank you, Elise. Next is Taylor Thomas. Go ahead, Taylor.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Taylor Thomas. I'm with East York Communities for Environmental Justice. And I just want to uplift Jesse Marquez and the example with which he lived his life. A lot of folks in the room don't understand what it means to live your life in service of community and to fight for a world that's bigger and better than what we have now. But to the advocates in the room and on the call, you are on a righteous path. You are doing great work. You are powerful. You are strong. You are amazing. And though we may not get our names on buildings when we transition, we may not drive big Escalades, the impact that we'll leave on the world will be a beautiful one. It will be one that is tied together with love and not economic interest and transactions. And so keep going, keep fighting. We'll see you at the next one.
Next speaker just says iPhone. Go ahead. And you're muted.
Hi, this is Christopher Holliday with SSA Marine. SSA Marine would like to thank the South Coast AQMD board members and staff, as well as the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach for all the hard work that's gone into reaching the cooperative agreement to achieve tangible emission reductions. SSA Marine has made strategic investments in new zero emissions cargo handling equipment and is committed to further emission reductions in the future. And we believe the collective efforts of the stakeholders create a pathway to achieving our shared clean air goals. And we strongly encourage the AQMD board to support and vote in favor of approving the cooperative agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Bruce Linderman. Go ahead, Bruce.
Good morning. Thank you, Jerry Delgado and board. My name is Bruce Linderman on behalf of the International Warehouse Logistics Association. IWLA strongly supports this cooperative agreement and urges the board to approve it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bruce. Next is Dustin Reinhardt. Dustin, go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. This is Dustin Reinhardt representing CMA CGM, third largest shipping line in the world and leaseholder at Phoenix Marine Services at the Port of LA. CMA CGM supports the MOU and looks forward to collaboration as we invest to attain our emissions goals in both California and globally. Again, CMA CGM supports the MOU and asks the board for its approval. Thank you.
Thanks, Dustin. Our last two speakers, Sean Kearns. Go ahead, Sean.
Good morning, members of the governing board. My name is Sean Kearns, Senior Field Representative and Grants Coordinator for U.S. Congresswoman Nanette Barragan, who represents the ports of LA and the frontline communities of Wilmington, West Long Beach, and San Pedro that are most impacted by port operations. Thanks for your continued work to reduce air pollution in the port complex and the ongoing work to further advance these initiatives through a potential cooperative agreement. The proposal is still in need of revised language that will protect union jobs, meaningfully reduce air pollution, and guarantee transparency throughout the duration of the agreement. Additionally, the parties are yet to hold a single in-person meeting in the frontline communities since the board decided to pursue a cooperative agreement in August. As the office that introduced federal legislation, which established the EPA Clean Port Program and resulted in the largest ever public investment in human-operated zero-emission equipment in the port complex, we understand the importance of collaboration. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Sean. Final speaker virtually is James Finney Conlon. James, go ahead, please.
Good morning. My name is James Finney Conlon, and I am speaking on behalf of the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce, the largest business organization in the Los Angeles region. The Chamber commends all the collaborative work that has been done to date to reach the current framework for this cooperative agreement. It is vital the port complex remains a focal point for imports and exports that generate necessary revenue to ensure resources are available to fund the transition to zero emissions. The cooperative agreement enables representatives of industry and the ports to continue their work to reduce emissions, improve efficiency, manage costs, and facilitate economically feasible decarbonization. We respectfully request you support this cooperative agreement. Thank you.
All right, with that, I will close the public hearing. Thank you, everybody who came and everyone who's participated in this process thus far. All right, I'm going to bring it back to the board for discussion. And we'll just take comments as requested. Yes, Supervisor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I might as well start it off. First of all, thank you all for coming in and giving your input. This has been a wild process. I think it's been dominating what I've been looking at since I got on this board a little over a year ago. And I really want to say that with all my experience being a local government in the legislature and now on the county side is to make something really work. Not only have to have big vision, but you also have to make it pragmatic. And I want to thank the staff to working with both sides and really trying to make goals that are going to be getting us there, as well as to make it so where it's pragmatic. I'm looking at the same thing in another board I'm on of how do we get transition to zero emission. There's a lot of factors not within our control. So be able to have that, and technology is coming out like left and right. I'm really kind of excited about the new energy sources coming soon. So it's great to have the goals, it's great to have the vision, and it's also great to have that flexibility to make something happen real. And so I want to thank you for doing that and doing so quickly on both sides for negotiating this. There's still a lot of factors outside the ports of LA and Long Beach control. We have to wait for some the power to drive some of this going forward. And I want to thank the board for giving the trust and staff to making this path happen. And as it was stated, we lose no power. So we tried this in 6 months. It's not going the right direction. We could regain that power back. So thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you. Supervisor, I think it was Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez, right? No, Supervisor Nguyen.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. First, I just want to thank everyone here who came out and spoke in person or online. It's very helpful to us and appreciate you coming out. I also want to thank my colleagues on this board for allowing this motion back a few months ago now to move forward. And I want to thank the staff for working on this. You really worked hard and we're at the table. And Wayne, thank you for guiding the ship and moving this forward and getting to where we are today. I don't think this is something that, is 100% for either side. I think this is a good collaborative agreement, something that we can all look at as, so that we can move forward. And it builds on the progress of years under the Clean Air Action Plan, which has already led to significant reductions in emission at the San Pedro Bay ports. The agreement maintains our commitment to better quality while recognizing the need to protect jobs in the economy that's viable and the jobs within the area, not just in the port area, but all over the the 17.5 million residents as well. It also provides the flexibility needed to adapt as, Supervisor Hagman said, technology advances. So it ensures continued progress. And, I want to, I know there were some comments made on it. I want just to make sure that we are reminded of these is the term originally was going to be 10 years. This is a 5-year term now. So it's been updated and now it's compromised to 5 years. The enforcement penalties, it originally was only 25,000 to 100,000 per default. Where now it's been updated and it's now double that. It's 50,000 to 200,000 per default. And the exit clause, originally was proposed at 90-day notice. Now it's updated 45 days, and it also, enables the board and the agency to move away from it as well. So this is not, I know that there's some folks who made your comments. I just want to make sure we have the facts out there and that's stated so that, we know what's on the contract or the agreement and not just what we think it is. These are the actual data that's on the agreement. So I'm, again, going back to this, I'm extremely proud of the agreement, the work that has been done with everybody from whether it's the cities, the port, the community, and our agency. And so with that, I would move to approve the item, Madam Chair.
Okay, we have a motion. It's been a second. And now it's Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez.
Killed by the port.
Please,
Killed by the port.
let's keep decorum, please.
Killed by the port. Killed by the port.
If this doesn't stop, we're going to stop the meeting and everybody will be forced to leave.
Please.
Okay. At this time, we're going to have everybody exit the room.
All right, do you want to do a quick summary, Wayne, of this?
You have before you staff recommendations. You've heard tremendous amount of testimony. From my perspective, I would like to acknowledge that there is a lot of frustration in the room. But I also want to note that while it may seem that this has been a very accelerated effort, we have been at this effort for years. And the effort on proposed Rule 2304 over the last 2 to 3 years was significant. And the amount of input that was provided just on that package alone was also significant. And you saw that in the slides that Dr. Reese provided. You also saw that there was what I consider a sincere effort to listen to community in terms of adopting and hearing their concerns. We went to Long Beach City College when we heard that you haven't been in our community. You did it at a time when people couldn't attend. We did it at night after working hours, and we had strong attendance. When we heard that that wasn't enough, we opened up office hours for phone participation during the day, and people asked, can we have it at night? And we did that. We changed the agreement. You've also heard the fact that people have criticized this 5-year term. Yes, the term is 5 years, but it's really on a 45-day rolling period. That's the amount of time that you have to assess performance, to assess what we're providing in terms of information for you. And if you don't like it, we were very purposeful in making sure that the resolution made sure that you, the board, have the power to direct what happens. I also want to note that there's been a lot of concern expressed about the ports and their willingness to continue to move forward. I would just note that it has been a painful process to get here. Aside from the 45-day rolling notice that I mentioned, we have proposed Rule 2304 ready to go on a 75-day package. And I truly believe that if we report back to you and you're not seeing the progress that's being made, you can be confident knowing that we can turn on a pivot and release that package on your approval. So the way that we move forward, though, particularly in these challenging times, has been to find out what are the things that are most necessary. And that is why we adopted the approach on infrastructure first. That was key, and that is not something that just came up in the last 45 days. And it wasn't something that just came up when we started on 2304. As I said before, staff has been working on this for a year, and we've all seen promising technologies. We've all seen where we've invested in projects where we've had challenges on the infrastructure and the deployment, the lost downtime, the lost productivity, the lost environmental benefits. All of that is what we've taken into account in terms of moving forward in a very diligent, in a very methodical manner. When we had proposed Rule 2304, our initial thoughts were that we were going to have those plans developed, get those plans developed, and then pivot to rulemaking. To those that would argue that we're going to be waiting 5 years to look at what actual emission reductions are, I would say that is not the case. And in fact, that was one of the things that we really appreciated in the port's offer, was to look at those additional cap measures. Now, I want to be clear and I want to be very upfront. That is going to be very difficult to pin down and to try to get those emission reductions. We know that, and we will work very hard. Nobody will work harder to get quantifiable emission reductions to you for your consideration and for the public's consideration. And I commit, just making sure I have no pain in my back, I will commit that we will provide those regular updates in advance of the time period that we were looking for plan development. We wanted to have the opportunity to get those plans developed before we started providing that kind of feedback. But I understand the concern about, hey, is it progressing the way that we think it should be? We'll provide you with that type of report within the 1 year, and we would normally do that through Mobile Source Committee. And to the concerns expressed about groups having the ability to provide input, we really want to make sure that as we have our committees, that people are attending those committees and that we're not pulling people out into subgroups and others so that it's diluting the actual committees themselves and creating challenges when we have to do briefings in serial and things like that. So you have my commitment that we will work to enhance participation on this issue, bring it to committee and to the full board. I believe that the plan before you is worthy of adoption.
Okay, thank you for resetting us. We left off with Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez speaking. No, okay, I lost track of what it was. Board Member Padilla Campos.
Thank you. I really think that kicking everybody out after just one disruption, not really giving them an opportunity to settle down, was why community don't trust us. I thought that was a little excessive. And then still to hear some board members speaking ill about those that were demonstrating, I think is not okay. And again, why I see issues with this whole process. And I'm coming to you today not as an opponent of collaboration, but as a strong advocate for environmental justice and public health. This port's cooperative agreement in its current form really falls short of standards that this district has long upheld. It lacks enforceable emission reduction targets, fails to mandate timelines, and offers no clear accountability mechanism. For communities living adjacent to our ports, communities disproportionately burdened by diesel exhaust, particulate matter, and nitrogen oxide, this agreement offers no tangible relief for them. We all know the data. Ports, adjacent neighborhoods experience higher rates of asthma, cardiovascular disease, and premature death. These are not theoretical harms. They are daily realities for folks. And yet the agreement does not require the ports to reduce emissions in ways that would measurably improve air quality for these residents, at least not for, well, I know the agreement says 5 years, but as Thero pointed out, this is not going to happen for another 10, 20, 25 years. And that's just not acceptable. Voluntary measures and aspirational goals are not enough. We need binding commitments. We need transparent reporting. We need community oversight. And most of all, we need emissions reductions that are real, quantifiable, and enforceable. As the agency that is charged with protecting air quality and public health, I urge you to scrutinize this agreement through the lens of equity and science. This agreement does not reduce emissions at the source. It does not prioritize the health of frontline communities, and it does not align with the district's own goals of PM and NOx reductions. I know there's a motion at play, but I would respectfully ask that we oppose this agreement and demand that it be strengthened before we move forward. Cooperation without accountability is not progress, folks. It's just politics as usual, and I think our communities deserve better than that.
Do you want to make a substitute motion?
I guess my motion would be to oppose or not accept this cooperative agreement.
Okay, is there a second? Seeing none, that fails. All right, Councilmember Rahman.
So thank you, Board Member Padilla Campos, for your words. And right, exactly. Sorry, I normally am working with your sister. I hear those words, and I just want to thank you for being that voice on this body. And it does feel odd that we're doing this in front of an empty room when there are so many stakeholders. This is one of the largest issues that we've dealt with. This is one of the issues where we've had the most input, and I think having this vote in front of an empty room is particularly poignant and meaningful. And perhaps not in a good way. But even though people aren't here, I do want to thank everyone who's contributed to this conversation today, many other meetings. There have been so many voices that have made themselves heard from all sides of this conversation. And I wanted to just make a comment before this vote. I feel like a lot of times as a regulator, as a policymaker, we are asked to choose between two versions of regulation or legislation. One, which might be better at getting us to whatever goal we've set out for ourselves as policymakers. Here in this room, that goal is cleaner air in this region. And I think that's the way in which our vote today has been presented to me and discussed with me in the many, many conversations that my staff and I have had with environmental groups and community organizations about this issue. That we have two versions of regulation or legislation, and one will get us closer to our goals of cleaning the air than the other. But I've also had many other conversations, many over the past few months, with leadership in Long Beach and LA, with staff at AQMD, thank you so much for your time, with labor leaders, with other board members, with private sector leaders. And I really have come to believe that the choice before us is this cooperative agreement or no action at all on this issue, continuing a decade of inaction on this issue. Or, as we experienced just a few months ago, actions that will be immediately undone with litigation or the lack of regulatory support from the federal administration that happened when we tried to take action on rail yards, and it was very disappointing. I know that this agreement has the support of other board members to move forward, and I will be voting to support it today because I do think that it is our only pathway to take any steps forward towards cleaner air at the single largest source of air pollution in the region. And I understand many of the critiques and criticisms deeply that Board Member Padilla-Campos mentioned and that many people have spoken about over the many meetings that we've discussed this issue. But I do believe that it is a step forward. And I'm committed to seeing that step forward and making sure that we continue engaging with other stakeholders to hold ourselves to the progress that this cooperative agreement embodies and making sure that we're moving forward in other ways that this board has to move towards our goals of cleaner air. So thank you, Chairwoman, for allowing me a chance to speak, and thank you to the other board members for your engagement.
Thank you. Any other board members who wish to speak?
Thank you, Chair Delgado. Let me first start off by thanking you for your courage and your leadership, for providing us an earlier platform of deliberation to consider an opportunity for a collaborative agreement, a cooperative agreement, that 45-day window that we were able to agree to provide that opportunity. I'm going to start with that, so thank you for that. Also appreciate my colleagues here for allowing that opportunity to move forward. Disappointed that I'm not able to look into the eyes of those who are here today. I'm going to still proceed with some of my thoughts and comments nonetheless, even though it's an empty room, which is unfortunate. And I'll, Chair, maybe have something to say a little bit more after we finish voting on that. So again, I want to thank all of the stakeholders. I've had a chance to meet with environmental groups recently and across the gambit, and have listened intently throughout this process. I find it particularly compelling today that we had various labor unions here today, such as Pedro from San Pedro and others who spoke here today, all in a unified voice in support of this agreement. They are on the front lines, if anyone's on the front lines, working at the ports. If anyone's going to be affected as far as having an interest in their health and well-being, it's those who are working there, spending their lives, their blood, sweat, and tears every day to make ends meet and work hard for their families and for us in many ways. So I appreciate their comments in particular, and I find it again interesting that while they have so much on the line, being there and being potentially at risk, they are also putting their faith in this opportunity before us today. They understand, again, the agreement is the best path forward to clean air and ensure that our ports remain the economic envy of the world. So I've heard so many personal stories about how so many are affected by the conditions of our air quality. So many here, so I'm going to take a moment, colleagues, to even indulge me to share one of my own. Just this week, I was awakened at 4 in the morning by my son, who could barely breathe. It's always a startling experience to have that with my son over the years. He inherited all the good things, being an athlete and really smart in school, from my wife, and things like asthma he inherited from me, unfortunately. But all kidding aside, it was a very concerning time for our family at 4 in the morning. We got out the nebulizer and started to get him back to a point where he wasn't wheezing and he could breathe. So this issue of asthma and this issue of the air quality affecting families, I take very personally. When I took my oath here in 2019, that's one of the things I said from the very beginning, that this is very personal for me. I take it, like everyone here, to heart. We all know or have someone in our families that is affected by air quality. So I just found it, of all the times that would happen leading up to this vote, that would happen to my family this week, and it really made me stop and think even more strongly about this issue. I remember just again, and we had to pick him up from school, take him home, and he was out from school the next day, and it was just round the clock nebulizer time. But thank God he's feeling better, and we'll just hope that doesn't happen again. And so that's all the more reason we want to do everything we can to improve the air quality. There's so many families like mine that are struggling with that issue. While growing up in my childhood, struggling with asthma from the time we moved from the Bronx, New York, to Long Beach, to Paramount, to all those times my dearly departed mom would tell me not to go out to play because of the 3rd stage smog alert, from my times as an adolescent in Fontana to the times college age at Cal State San Bernardino to now. I deeply care about our entire region. I don't just represent Orange County cities and Yorba Linda. I have deep ties in the Inland Empire. Spend much of my life in there. So whenever I hear from folks in the Inland Empire, whenever I hear from folks from San Bernardino, Fontana, that resonates with me deeply. That said, I wanted just to share a little glimpse, because so many of those that are boldly coming to the podium for months have shared their life experience, and I wanted you to know that strikes at my heart, and I'm with you on that. And I know that it may disappoint you that I'm agreeing with this cooperative agreement today, but make no mistake, I'm not naive. I'm not naive. Okay, so I told you my mother grew up in the Bronx, New York, and she used to tell me, son, I'm going to give you some rope. I'm going to trust you. Don't hang yourself with the rope. Don't hang yourself with the rope. So that means, don't abuse my trust. And so if we weren't unfortunately having to eject everyone, I would be looking at the ports right now, and I would be looking at them in the eyes, and I say, don't abuse this agreement. We expect results. We expect accountability. And so I would say, like my dearly departed mom, don't hang yourself. And I would also look at this as not blind trust either. I would go back to my time growing up, and I always going to look back at this, colleagues, as it's for me, it's trust but verify. And we have that in this agreement. It goes back to that term in the 1980s during those nuclear treaty negotiations, when President Reagan said trust but verify, to describe how the U.S. would proceed with its Soviet counterparts. And since it was actually an old it's an old Russian proverb, rather than being offended, the leaders laughed and it became part of the lexicon too. But to me, it means something. And that's why I was really looking intently at this agreement. And it included, again, just to recap what the staff had reported, we've said a number of times, but I do think it's worth repeating. It covers the same scope as PR 2304. It fosters continued collaboration. And I also noted in the staff report, faster outcomes. That's important. It has clear milestones and deadlines for deliverables that are also importantly technologically realistic and attainable, and ultimately provide significant improvements in air quality, which is all why we're here today. We've gone from 10 years to 5 years. That was noted by Supervisor Nguyen. We have an ability also to in no way relinquish anything. It's about accountability. So again, we've gone from 90 days to 45 days if we needed to exit quickly from this. And I think that keeps the message that we expect results. And also results, if they're not coming, accountability is we can exit out, and also the fines are going to be potentially doubled up to $200,000. So I'll also say that wasn't part of the original rule was, what was brought forth by the ports was, we've heard a lot about the CAPS Plus, and I do think that there's a great opportunity, colleagues, to see us lean into that coming out of this agreement, whether it's the clean ship program enhancements, the zero emission drayage truck equipment, the zero emission terminal equipment and infrastructure funding, the zero emission import switcher locomotives, the zero emission equipment and infrastructure workforce development, and port zero emissions infrastructure plans. That's great opportunity for us to take the momentum of this agreement and lean into those efforts as well. I am, again, very appreciative of the time and effort. Staff, thank you so much for your dedication and hard work around the clock. We would not be able to even have this opportunity without your efforts, and also appreciate everyone's good faith efforts to get to this point today. Thank you for some additional time and indulgence, and I will be voting in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to highlight one aspect of this cooperative agreement, and it's the 5-year period a lot of people have spoken about. And I think one commentator mentioned it would be ambitious, complicated, and a need for coordination. And it brings me back 5 years ago, or 4 years ago when you were here, we voted on another ISR, the warehouse rule. I heard so many similar comments today. I brought back those 4 years as we try to transition from diesel to electric, hydrogen fuel cell vehicles approach coming into the warehouses because they were such a source of pollution. And we were castigated because we said not only zero emission heavy duty trucks, but we've got to accept natural gas. And just looking at one, there's so many parallels here. I went to an Ontario warehouse, part of our Volvo Lights program, 12 partners, solar, battery storage, and heavy-duty trucks. And it was supposed to work simply, transition to electric trucks, they can go to the ports, Ontario, but it wasn't that easy. What was supposed to be a year-long project took 3 or 4 years to transition just a few trucks in the heavy-duty fleet to electric. Then 2 weeks ago, I visited a warehouse in Ontario, part of our JETSI program, Joint Electric Truck Scaling Initiative, one of the largest third-party logistics carriers in the United States, NFI Industries, at their warehouse a few miles away in Ontario. After a 3 or 4 year project, they were just getting their solar energy storage electrified. 3 or 4 years, and it still hadn't happened. It was going to happen maybe this week. So the 5 years a lot of people are attacking is necessary as we transition, whether it's through the utilities, technology, the companies. It's not easy. So I support this. I support the comments of my fellow board members. I understand that there's been a lot of comments from the Congresswoman and others. We need more community engagement. I know Wayne's committed to doing that. Our staff is, and Nessa Johnson, I know the doctor is great at that. So we're going to be out there. So just focusing on that aspect, we've got to have time to do it right. And just looking right now, the programs we've supported, demonstration programs, NFI has 90 trucks. The first week they got the trucks, they had no electricity at their facility. They wanted to make it work, so they were charging all over the region. They've got 90 trucks in our region, and they couldn't electrify at their facility. But it's starting to happen right now, but it's taken 4 years. Can you imagine? It took South Pasadena, 20 fleet of police cars, 3 years to electrify. So you're getting switchgear, it's delayed. Edison's moving hundreds of projects. Can you imagine the ports compared to a 20 fleet police department or 90 fleet heavy duty truck at a large warehouse in Ontario? So we need the time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Vice Mayor Olmos.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say, actually, me being the newest board member, I think I've been on 8 months now, and having to get up to speed. I know this conversation has been happening for quite some time, and I just want to say, actually, I thank Padilla Campos, board member, for your words and your explanation for your vote. As you know, I represent the cities that had branched directly to the ports, and I think another board member had mentioned, I think this is a start. We have to start somewhere. My cities have had nothing, and now we have something in place it's a good step forward. I just also want to thank all the stakeholders, EJ communities that have actually took the time to explain their sides and really educate me. I really think that's super important, and I get it. You guys are going to hold us accountable. And again, Wayne, thank you for your last statement that you said, because I think as board members, we look to staff to help and direct and guide us and educate us. And I think some of your statements that you said earlier really help refine kind of how I want to vote on this. So again, thank you guys, board members, for all of your comments as well. But again, I will also be in favor of this cooperative agreement today.
Supervisor Perez.
Just very quickly, I think a lot has been said already, and I do appreciate the wisdom and the words of my colleagues up here on the dais. And I definitely appreciate the thoughts that came from Padilla Campos. Thank you for that. I think sometimes we do need to hear that and dig deep inside. And as well, Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez, for your words. Obviously, both of you speaking from your hearts, from your points of views, make good sense. And so I remember before we came out here this morning, I was getting some breakfast with Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez, and we talked about, is it possible to have a balance between the environment and industry? Is it possible to somehow figure out a way in which it's not a zero-sum game, if you will, where you pick winners over losers? Is there a medium? Is there a halfway point? And I think that some of the comments that were made up here have led me to state out loud once again, let's see. I think you've heard from both Padilla Campos and from Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez. Both want clean air, but at the same time, both want a better economy. Both want jobs for people, especially in underserved communities, to relieve poverty. Yet potentially on different sides of the spectrum when it comes to this vote. And at the same time, you also heard that, prove us right. Industry and the advocates, and specifically industry in this sense, in this case, don't renege. Make it happen. Because people are frustrated. And if we end up in a situation where, let's say, 45 days out, or let's say a year out, or let's say 2, and so on and so forth, that the milestones are not accomplished according to the timelines, then obviously we have no one else to blame but ourselves up here in the dais. Because we believe in the fact that there can be a balance, that there can be a middle ground between the environment and environmental justice, and ensuring that everyone has a good paying job. Now, I heard from folks that look like me as well. And as I was hearing from them, for the most part, I heard many of the advocates that came from environmental justice communities, but I also heard from labor. And many of those labor members were also Latino. When people say my community or our community, what do you mean by your community? Because anyone can go ahead and state that depending on how they define it. They can be speaking about labor, or they can be talking about the community in which they live in. Communities are flexible and dynamic. They're not fixated. It's not static. Now, we're talking about the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions throughout South Coast Air Quality Management District and how far we've come. Well, check this out. In my neck of the woods, in El Valle de Coachella, we don't have the infrastructure in place so that everyone can be driving a Prius, nor do we have the income. That's the reality. And I know many people from underserved communities that still order through Amazon. Should I blame them too? No. I think at the end of the day, folks, it's good that you hold us accountable. We need to listen. We need to take it to heart, because it is painful when we come to these situations, that we come to this point in time, and we just cannot get both sides of the spectrum to see eye to eye. When I know that both sides of the spectrum are all our community. We're all human beings. We all want the best for our kids. We all want cleaner air for our grandmothers and for our future generations. And we all want better jobs for those that are coming after us, and for those that live now and yet they can't find a good paying job in their own backyards. So I guess my last point is, let's prove it. And I'm asking industry, make it happen. Because if not, we are going to bring this back. And I'm not going to be happy about it. I'm going to be sad about it. But more than anything, frustrated, maybe even angry, because I believe that it can be done. It's a tough cause, it's a tough situation, but here we are, folks, and I will support this today. I am leaning on everybody that committed to go 150%. Let's make it work. And let's not let down our communities. And let's not let down our workers. find that balance.
Thank you, Supervisor. Would you like anything else? Did you? Yeah.
Well, Madam Chair, I think everyone has said it all, really, and I agree with my colleagues. It's important that we have this, we now have, or will have this cooperative agreement in place, and it's incumbent upon the ports to come through with their commitments and working with our staff to make it happen. We put our faith in this cooperative agreement and in the cooperation of all involved because we want to clean the air. We want to provide healthy air for our citizens. And we also want an economy that works and provides jobs. So I'm looking forward to this cooperative agreement being a success and that we can build on this first stage with the following TEP Plus discussions and get those into the cooperative agreement also. So I'm leaving here with a positive attitude, and I'm very hopeful that we will achieve what we need to achieve, and I will support the motion.
Thank you. Before we vote, well, I did want to take one moment to thank two particular staff members. There's been so many that put so much work into this, but Dr. Sarah Reese and Susan Nakamura, I think that you took a lot of the headache of this issue, and I just wanted to, there was so many, not that there's so many people involved, but yes, there's so many, but I wanted to give you just a special thank you for all your work in this. So since I've been on the board, this has been an issue this whole time. And I think Councilmember Rahman said it most succinctly that there's been a lack of action on this item because we couldn't get a policy measure that could muster support. I wanted to start with an ISR. And just a few months ago, the cities asked us to consider an alternative cooperative agreement that would do better. That was a criteria. That's what I asked you all to consider. It did cause a lot of issues, some mistrust, and I take responsibility for that. And I take responsibility of doing better, but I supported that action and I still do, because I think it's going to be this will be something good for our community. And I do think it strikes a balance that's necessary to advance our environmental goals, but also maintain a strong economy for our community. But this is it's not even day one. This is the very beginning of a long process. And I encourage everybody to continue to hold us accountable. And yeah, just keep the ISR handy just in case. But I thank you all for helping to get to today. And for those of you who are disappointed, I totally understand. And your feelings are valid. Only time will tell if this will achieve its stated goal. And I hope it does. With that, can we get a vote, please? Okay, that item passes. Thank you all for your time. Do you still want to do the?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I just want to just respectfully take a moment about the proverbial elephant in the room, well, at least for me anyway. The idea that we deliberate as we've done today, and certainly as far as since my time in 2019, we've had far longer meetings, even arguably much more passionate meetings from the public comment. But never have we had what happened today. And so It's not okay. It's not okay to act in a way that totally disrupts our ability to do the people's work. So it's not that we can't disagree, but we have to do it in an agreeable way. And we all feel strongly about this issue and other issues. But this is a place that's safe. It's where the people's work is done. And to have what happened today is not acceptable. And it's not that we don't ask and expect decorum and civility, because we highlight it before every meeting when we say in every meeting, please adhere to the speaker time and treat others with courtesy, civility, and respect. And failure to do so can result in your mic being muted or being dropped from the meeting. Well, if that was happening online, we would have dropped them from the meeting. So why was it okay when folks were coming out and disrupting our meeting, that we just allowed that to happen, and we sat there and punished those who were acting with civility, decorum, and in the spirit of what is the tradition here at AQMD, agreeing or disagreeing. I don't remember in the warehouse ISR, when the vote went down, was going to go down, that the other side that was seemingly thinking they were going to lose, that was happening. That was not happening. That was, so I would only say this: that's not okay. It's not acceptable. And I was not going to leave, nor should us ever feel that we have to leave and take a vote in another part of our facilities here. And while that's happening, respectfully, if I'm saying, and I'm saying the comment, I don't want to feel bullied, that's not going out and saying anything that's maligning anybody. Respectfully, Board Member Padilla Campos. So from the idea that if that, let's just be civil. If I don't agree with a colleague or anyone here, that doesn't mean that anything but we agree to disagree. But there was no maligning going on. I just wanted to respectfully, Chair, say that can't happen again. And for those folks that did that, I respect your opinion. But what I don't think it ever should be tolerated is kicking everyone else out. So I'm hoping in the future that's not in the playbook now, that we don't let that happen, that those that are going to express themselves without any self-control or civility and totally violate everything that we do, that we would just escort them out in the future, so that everyone else that is behaving in the appropriate way can remain and not and participate.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Madam Chair, we do have one item remaining on the agenda, and we do need board approval.
Okay, Councilmember Rahman has asked to say one last thing here.
I just wanted to say that, I think we are making consequential decisions at this board that impact people's health, that impact people's lives, that impact people's work. And I am a member of the LA City Council, which is very rowdy. I'm called the most disgusting names. We had to outlaw the use of the N-word and the C-word because it's written and said so much and directed at us. I receive an incredible amount of harassment. And yet, I will say that people who are in these bodies, these are spaces for people to speak, to dissent, and whether we like it or not, to protest and to shut it down. And so, I think there's definitely an opportunity for us to figure out how we respond to it that's more equitable. that doesn't allow the loudest voices to shut down quieter voices or people who may feel intimidated or scared in those situations. I definitely don't want that to happen. But I also do want to acknowledge that these are democratic spaces and that protest, shutdowns, all of that is part of a democratic practice that feels all the more necessary at this time in this country. So just, I just didn't want Board Member Rodriguez, respectfully appreciate your words, but did not want that to be the last voice that you heard from this entire board. So thank you all.
All right, thank you. With that, I'll turn it over to Wayne for our final presentation. Dr. Herb Johnson, sorry.
Why, hello. I can tell you honestly, afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the governing board, and remaining audience members. I am Dr. Cecil Herb Johnson, and I am the Deputy Executive Officer for our Community Engagement and AIR programs. On behalf of a cadre of colleagues across our agency, I am really, truly pleased to announce and share information about our annual progress report for the AB 617 program. Please note that this is a cumulative report that talks of the initiatives, the projects, and the lessons learned over the past 5 years since the inception of this program. This program is unique in that it takes the successful strategies that have reduced emissions in the past and pairing it with new actions that partner with community stakeholders for a community-centered approach. So next slide, please. For those who are unaware or who may not understand the origin story of our programs, South Coast is unique in its implementation of these programs, as we have 6 of the 19 communities statewide. It is a process that involves community conversations and dialogue with approval by community steering committees, this very own South Coast Air Quality Management District Governing Board, and then that information is then shared and adopted by CARB's Governing Board. It is community-driven and both our Governing Board and CARB approved. So these are all of the 6, East LA, Boyle Heights, West Commerce, San Bernardino, Muscoy, Wilmington, Carson, West Long Beach are our Year 1 communities. Our Year 2 communities are Southeast LA, Eastern Coachella Valley, and then our Year 3 communities is South LA. Next slide, please. The categories, this particular slide highlights the different 7 categories of our SERP strategies and what we would employ. These really represent lessons along the way. What I will tell you is that the more that the community is involved, the more they are engaged, and the more that they stay. The more that they retain, and retain means coming to the meetings every month. They all have different infrastructures. Some of them have origin stories where they have working teams. Some of them have community co-lead, which are community-based organizations. Some of them have community facilitators, but they all have their own kind of beginnings. But the more that they stay and get involved, we hear from them, we talk to them on an ongoing basis. We speak to them really weekly, but we have 4 community meetings a year, quarterly meetings with each of the 6 communities that are listed here. And so what I'm appreciative about all of these different strategies is it isn't just the work that we do inside these communities for the communities. It's our hope that we learn these lessons so that we can apply them to the bigger communities. So not just the communities that are in our AB 617 program, but maybe we can learn something that can help some of our consistently nominated communities as well. So these are all the different strategies that we are employing to be able to do these. Next slide, please. And that's us in this room, in this space, just a couple days ago. And so how do we get here to this process? And so because we have those quarterly meetings and because we are talking to the community on a regular basis, we also have what we call our dashboard. So we share information about all the different SERP actions that we are doing, and we give people updates in a user-friendly kind of way. And so we talk to them every quarterly meetings. We let them know that at the end of a year, we will kind of share with them what the highlights are, find out their opinions on those. Those people came together on Wednesday, August 20th. We had representation from all 6 of our AB 617 communities. One of the reasons, honestly, we are doing virtual meetings is so that we can have participation on a virtual basis across the communities. We had an opportunity for them to talk to each other, let them know what are their feedback, how can we move forward. We then, after we had that meeting with them, we had virtual office hours. So again, different times on different days of the week to be able to allow those people who weren't able to participate in the virtual meeting. And then we had our all CSC meeting on Saturday, October 25th, was just another opportunity to get feedback from community members. So in person, virtual, different times, but all the while, all 6 communities are showing up and representing. Next slide, please. One of the tactics and one of the strategies that we have employed is having our SERP implementation dashboard. This is in both English and Spanish so that communities who are impacted can see the information in a way that they can truly understand it. This is a direct response and a best practice to share this information, again, through a community-centered approach. Next slide, please. If you'll see here, lot of pies. But what it basically says to all of us is as of June 2025, when this information was shared, we are overall 70% either completed or nearing completion. We have about 25% that are initiated and ongoing, and we are committed to finishing them. We are committed to finishing them up so that we can have 100% completion. There are an awareness of the issues that are impacting the completion, and then so we're adjusting our approach. And how we adjust our approach is, again, involving community members in that process. Hey, I know 5 years ago we had this idea, but maybe the world has changed in 5 years, and so how can we adjust our approach? And so we're not doing that without talking with community. And so we will be at 100%, like Wayne said, we're gonna get there. So we are working with everyone to make sure that this happens. But again, community engagement has been critical. And they're honest with us, as you all can see today. They will let us know if we're not doing it correctly or in the right timing. Next slide, please. So you'll see here, thank you very much to my colleagues in the planning division. These 2 slides have been really, staff has been really busy amending and adopting a number of rules as per the SERP actions. So several of our SERP actions involve rules. So they're providing emission reductions in VOC, NOx, and toxics. The actions include more leak detection and repair, monitoring, phasing out cancer-causing containments, and new rules regulating metal shredding facilities, warehouses, and rail yards. And so this slide, and then the next slide, are summarizing both of those actions that are taking place in our Planning and Rules Development Implementation Division. So these, again, are in alignment with our SERP objectives. Next slide, please. This is more of a breakdown of all of that information that we just shared with you. It's just a little bit more specific information, and it shows the amount of those emission reductions per rule that will reduce the pollution and the benefits of the public health. And so these slides are associated with the previous slides, but just again, a more detailed breakdown. Next slide, please. Thank you. Is that the second one? Okay, excellent, thank you. All right, next slide. And so this slide is involving our BARC rules. So best available retrofit control technology rules. This is across all 6 communities. So these are really showing us the tons per year and all the different associated emission reductions for NOx. And I think also reclaim facilities. So it's highlighting even more past rule amendments and adoptions. And these are again regulating refineries, flares, engine boilers based on those rules, again, that are reducing of emissions. And those are the ones that are showed in the yellow boxes. Next slide. Another critical and essential part of our AB 617 is our incentives division, strategies, our TAO division. And so two of the incentive highlights we'd like to share with you today is our AB 617 Public Schools Air Filtration Program that is taking place in all 6 communities. That's $13.7 million in CAP incentive funds. We also have our Clean Technology Loaner Program, which is medium and heavy duty on-road truck fleets. It also reduces NOx and PM. What we've learned on this one, that was one of those examples I mentioned about how we're having to adapt. The TAO division basically said is the rules associated with insurance, the requirements associated with insurance is what is kind of holding the program back. So it's at contract levels now, but they're navigating all of that to get it moving. But that's one of the things that we're just having to adapt our approach because we're dealing with those changing insurance rules. But these are two different highlights that we have for incentives programs. Next slide, please. Some cross-community highlights. Again, what I especially enjoy about this program is being able to work across the communities. And so a couple of things that we've done across all 6 communities is we've done a truck route video, which is basically sharing information with the communities and supplemental materials so that we can get CSC feedback. And then we receive recommendations for actual streets that may benefit from restricting truck access, and that's again across all 6 communities. We also had an all CSC diesel mobile sources workshop. And again, it was held to inform community members about the impacts of diesel emissions on air quality and public health, as well as different state and regional efforts, but again, across all 6 communities. Next slide. Here are a couple of our ongoing SERP implementation efforts that we have been doing within our program. Our Green Spaces projects, which are really quite popular. Our paving project, as many of you all have seen before, has come up in front of this group. We currently are executing a memorandum of understanding with the County of Riverside. I believe that's November, December? Yeah, thank you. We also, in our South LA community, are working with our dry cleaning equipment replacement project and auto body shops project plan. What specifically is, I'm appreciative of those particular two, is really being led by our South LA community co-leads. That's one of our communities where we have active participation by community-based organizations. So they're out in the community networking with those businesses, with those organizations to do this work. So it really is a community collaboration. Next slide. We are very proud of our community air monitoring program. We are truly the only agency that has a SERP for every camp and a camp for every SERP. No other air district has that. So we have and really are leading the way when it comes to this type of mobile monitoring platforms. And according to Jason, it's the information that we're learning and that we're doing with this is able to help us in other areas like the wildfires. So information that we're gathering, the resources that we're being able to utilize are able to help us. So we have 4 mobile monitoring platforms. You can see that we've done 500 identified community facilities. The amount of work that we're doing on this level is unprecedented across the state. And not just because of the number of CSC communities that we have, but it's also the experience and the expertise that we have here at South Coast in our monitoring program. Next slide, please. So post year 5 transition. So we find ourselves at the beginning. We're at our year 1 communities are now at year 5, which was the time frame for this program. And so what we've learned last year when we had our first all CSC event was really they want to be in space with each other. At the very beginning of this program, they had different start times, they had different origins, and they really didn't talk to each other. So why our program, I think, is the most successful is because we're putting them in spaces where they can talk with each other. Being very real and honest with you all, they don't always talk. They don't always communicate. There's a lot of issues that are impacting some communities, and it becomes very divisive. So when we're able to put them in space together to try to help heal some of the stuff that we're talking about, it helps to be able to move this forward. This is part of the trust building that we've been talking about that's so critical in this program. And so we've been able to reflect on the first 5 years and learn lessons about how we can do this work and what we can be doing after this work. I think what is especially important is that when we had the all CSC, they kind of said, okay, you know what, we want to meet more. We want to talk more. We want to be in space together. And so for 6 months this year, from January to June, we had what we call our post-year 5 transition meetings, and all 6 communities were represented at all 6 meetings every single month. And they're coming to us and telling us what they want. And these are dialogues. These are conversations. People are in space with each other, really trying to work together. Next slide, please. And what's especially important is they have said, okay, you know what? We've learned these lessons, and we don't want it to just stay with us. We want to help those consistently nominated communities who don't have this funding. We want to be able to help the other communities that we didn't necessarily have this information. So I really see a mentoring relationship happening between these communities, and it's not just adversarial. They're talking to each other. And so what we're hoping is to turn this community-driven program into what we can do, not again just for AB 617 communities, but other communities as well. Cool. All right, next slide. All right, and so again, this is just a slide that talks about the amount of incentive funds that we've approved, 302.4 million, and then these are the total emission reductions in tons per year. Next slide. Community feedback. So part of this process has been actually talking to the community. So all this information that you got, we've given to them, and they've given us feedback. What they've said to us, again, strengthening the cross-community connections through the all CSC events they like. They want us to keep that dashboard because that really does help to communicate science to the community. They also want us to continue to upgrade our membership and onboarding processes. They want us to make sure to have an inclusive and justice-focused kind of approach in that work. Next slide. They also want to make sure that we role model accessibility for CSC members. So they ask of us to make sure to give the presentations early and to give people an opportunity to have flexible office hours and let the meetings be for dialoguing and not just talking at people. They don't like presentations where people talk at them. And they also want to make sure that we include more youth voices to have a more generational approach to the work. Next slide. And so where are we now? We published this information on our website. So CARB has an expectation that is done by October 1st. We presented this information to Stationary Source in the middle of October. We are here today with you all on November 7th. And once this is approved by you all or discussed by you all, I don't remember the terminology, I'm kind of rushing, getting a little nervous. We will move it on to CARB for the governing board, their governing board to approve in the spring. Next slide. So next step for us is to continue working with all 6 CXCs to complete all of our SERP objectives. As CARB has a Blueprint 2.0 that is going to extend to providing support to consistently nominated communities, we will continue to do that. And as you all are fully aware, we will continue to work with the state legislator to communicate how South Coast is bringing down the emission reductions for our disproportionately impacted communities by air pollution. That is presentation.
Thank you. We do have 5 speakers who'd like to speak on this, so I'm going to go ahead and ask them to come up. Chris Chavez, again, we're at the 1-minute mark for comments.
Chris Chavez, Coalition for Clean Air. I've been part of the AB 617 process since 2018. I've attended meetings of all 6 community steering committees. I've helped get hundreds of millions of dollars in AB 617 funding. For a while, AB 617 weighed greatly. Rule 1109.1, Rule 2305. Now, AB 617 feels like an afterthought until state budget time. Your AB 617 staff have done their best, and I respect them greatly. But after seeing the AB 617 communities being locked out of the port conversation, I can no longer use my name or efforts to provide South Coast AQMD the veneer of environmental justice. I'm hereby resigning in protest from the Wilmington-Carson West Long Beach AB 617 Steering Committee, and I encourage my fellow committee members to do so as well. AB 617 is not just a source of state funding for the district, it is a commitment to some of our most polluted communities. I hope your actions will comport with that purpose one day.
Thank you, Chris. The next speaker is Polosh.
Good afternoon. As an international environmental equity researcher, over the years, I have looked to California and in particular AQMD's work under AB 617, particularly the warehouse and the rail yard ISRs as global models for equitable, community-driven air quality governance. However, with recent developments around PR 2304, there is a growing concern that community consultation has become more procedural than participatory, with limited influence on local priorities and decision-making. I welcome Chair Delgado's comments earlier in this meeting on streamlining the AQMD committees and processes, and I hope this commitment translates into a more empowered AB 617 framework, as well as stronger engagement through the Environmental Justice Advisory Group. Thank you.
Thank you. Magali Sanchez Hall, not here. Angie B. And then the last speaker is Daryl.
Thank you once again. I'll be quick. I just want to thank the AB 617 staff for everything you have done and everything we're going to do. You know this, I will hold you accountable and I will hold myself accountable. We're down to roll up our sleeves and get the work done. We just ask you to don't think of us as an afterthought, but in the process, as hopefully they will in other committees like the Port ISR and so forth. We've been doing a lot of work in San Bernardino, I've been organizing coffee with staff, making sure we're bringing them out with not only community, but entrepreneurs, small businesses, not only in San Bernardino, but Highland as well, Colton, Bloomington. And I like to thank the board members that do show up to the San Bernardino. I believe Delgado sends someone, and I know you're all busy, but it would be nice, and I extend the branch to the ones who represent our community to be.
Thank you, Angie. Daryl is our final speaker today.
Yes, I'm here in support of AB 617. It is a vital instrument within the AQMD and one of the places there is light for public discourse and public participation as defined in our Constitution. We are a constitutional government. We must recognize that people have rights, and I would also like to send a thank you to Board Member Campos for her vote today. And I also would like to thank Board Member Ramos for standing up for the First Amendment, and Board Member Campos for using her First Amendment rights by speaking. That's what the basis and the strength of the United States of America is, this Constitution, and the only thing how people can produce good results. Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. All right, Dr. Herb Johnson, I'm sorry that your presentation had to be a little rushed. It was a eventful day. But thank you all for your hard work, and we will see you in December. Oh, I'm
We
sorry.
need a motion and we need a.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm over here trying to leave. Okay, who moved it?
Second.
Hagman, second. Vote. Okay, that passes. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chair. We don't have closed session today, but I did want to note for the record that the members of the public were allowed back in during item 20, approximately during the time when Vice Chair Cacciati was speaking. Thank you.